just go there, but I am safe and I am warm. Although it's hard, I know I gotta keep up. No time to late to drift away. I find my space, I spend my time down the rabbit hole again. And as I fall, I can feel the pain. You can't tell me where to go, so I don't know, I just go with the flow. I go with the flow. I'm falling up, I'm falling down, from the sky and from the ground. Up above just like below, and I don't know where I should go. 'Cause I'm stuck in limbo. I'm out of love, but I guess I deserved it. Trying to hide, to pass you by. I'm getting down, I'm feeling fine. I'm light as air, no one can reach me. Lost in a dream, lost in between. Let's keep on flying, let's keep on breathing. I'm falling up, I'm falling down, from the sky and from the ground. Up above just like below, and I don't know where I should go. 'Cause I'm stuck in limbo.
Ну что ж, ребят, всем привет, с вами сегодня студия Рухаб, у нас гранд-финал EDC Season 2, для вас будут работать Мintgat и Sleep Some While, и, конечно же, две замечательные команды Sprout и Movistar Riders, которые сразятся за титул и за первое место в этом самом EDC Season 2. Жень, привет, какие у тебя впечатления, что вообще думаешь про команды?
Ну, у нас в итоге самые сильные коллективы здесь собрались. Честно признаюсь, во втором вот этом, господи, вторая итерация EDC, опять же, ну, могли бы быть и немножко другие команды. Я в целом даже на Немигу рассчитывал. Я даже в целом думаю, что Синерсы, в принципе, могут Спраутов обыграть из тех команд, которые были. Опять же, вот Немига Форс, например, был матчап в четвертьфиналах, но Фразов там, видите, из замен не получился. У нас пистолетка уже начинается, дорогие друзья. Ну, опять же, в общем, вышло как вышло. Тут пока Movistar выглядит посильнее, на мой личный взгляд, но посмотрим.
Но, мне кажется, не больше постабильно. У нас карта Денюк, выбор команды Sprout, дальше будет Трей, ну а дальше, если потребуется, мы еще и посмотрим с вами другую карту. Это может быть The Mirage. Пока что на защите у нас Movistar Riders и европейцы будут принимать рампы. Тут уже Фейвен вместе с тиммейтами пытается запушить, получает смой по голове. Стил пытается после фрага уйти в более своего позицию. Там еще приговорили Алекса. Фейвен все-таки Стила добирает и проходит на точку Б. Мопус и Шокс вдвоем.
Что ж, двигаемся дальше. Мопус Шокс. Ну, с пистолеткой уже, наверное, будет сложно здесь. Если честно, Спрауты, во-первых, еще и бомбу поставили. Ну, как и должны были, на самом деле, поставить. Куда они делись-то, господи бы, если они вчетвером остались тоже. Собственно, бомба на Б поставлена. Но Мопус Шокс... Видно, что ребята вообще-то никуда особо не спешат, если честно. То есть, в смысле, вообще ничего не хотят делать сейчас. Я их прекрасно понимаю, потому что там осажден Б-плен буквально со всех сторон. Это как бы выйти, погибнуть, кому это надо. Пистолетка уйдет с командой Movistar здесь. Ну и Мопус погибает. Вот. Единственный человек, который попытался что-то сделать, но тоже не вышло. То есть Шокс последний останется с килларом здесь. Но так как это какая-то сторона, опять же, посмотрим, там они будут форсить или не форсить, но пока что 1-0 пользует команда Sprout.
Да, ну что касается карт, то в принципе здесь маппул удобен и одной, и второй команде, потому что все карты играбельны. Да, тут мы видим
often, at least in the series we've had so far, see him pull off some ridiculous plays.
Why I think that him going missing is such a big problem. It's not because like, oh yeah, he's going to drop 35 kills and carry them through like you might get from someone like Smooya. It's more that he's going to be that first point of contact. And if he gets a pick, the rest of the team are just ready to then make their move. And you can even see it now. He's pushing and probing outside. Everybody else on the map is just patient. They're all just waiting for Dennis to make a play. Even if he dies, most of the time he's going to make some space. And then the second he gets that kill, look at the domino effect. Almost instantly, one player goes down, Dennis has found the kill, and then everybody else gets to make their move.
Well, getting caught on the aggression towards Hut. Faven again. 2 kills being put up. Smooya with the Deagle. Trying to look for something against Cressy here in towards Heaven, but becoming less realistic. But with Steel coming in through Squeaky, picks himself up an AK. So there might be a possible chance here if Smooya and him can work together up against the 4 players left to defend. At least make it costly for the T side. Steel's going to potentially come around the corner to be flanked by Faven. Faven? I don't know where I'm going with this. He's going to fall. But still Smooya left alone against 3. At least making it costly. But that's got to hurt. Falling from 2 stories down on top of your head. And Dennis will close things out, getting Sprout that 2-0 start.
You did manage to make his name sound more German, like the way that you said it.
Yeah, I don't...
Faven.
Well, he doesn't have the umlauts over the A's, so it's not like Faven, it's Faven. So I was like,
Faven, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you could even do umlauts in CS, can you? For people who don't know German, umlauts are the 2 dots over a letter. And it changes the way you pronounce the letter, the vowel.
Yeah,
German.
I think my sister actually has one in her name, but I
Wait,
don't
what?
think it's. Oh yeah, her name's Zoe, so over the E. So that her name's not
How would
Zoe.
you pronounce? Yeah,
So
okay.
it's, if you didn't have it, it would just be Zoe, the way that it's pronounced in English. So you put it over the top, so it's Zoe.
Hmm.
So anybody who doesn't do that, you've got to call them Zoe. And they'll hate you for it.
They already hate me, let's be honest. Alex, you're going to be overwhelmed at ramp, as it looks like Sprout's going to have a relatively clean round. You get control of the lower bomb site. Mopaz with the Deagle. Not quite as successful as we have seen the Deagle be used in the last few days.
He's not B-stick.
Yeah. Or
Shock.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one thing I'm thankful for. We didn't get Shock versus Shocks.
I was going to say.
No offense, Shock. Oh, okay. Faven is going to go down. Oh, no.
So angry?
Oh, what? That's the bomb. They've just hand-delivered him the bomb. Cressy. Oh, no. That is a huge mistake, and they're going to win the round. We were sort of joking about things, but... Oh, dear.
Wait, that was
Mopaz
Cressy
has
again?
just been handed. Yeah, that happened yesterday as well,
On
didn't
Mirage,
it?
right? In towards ladder room, he did that. And,
Yeah.
and we see our
Free
parry
bomb
match
delivery.
odds. Yeah, and then he dies, as we discussed yesterday. The parry match odds 2.31 to 1.57. So Sprout, still the favorable team here. You guys get your first, get your bonus on your first deposits. Click on the banner below with the stream here. But yeah, what a mistake again. Pushing straight through with the bomb, losing control of it. It was against just pistols, and they lost the round. Spoon out on the AWP. Slack's at least able to have it this time, but what was it? Sprout yesterday we're talking about? Win the pistol round, lose the second? Well, today, win the first 2, but lose the third. The round you should be able to win.
Yeah, they do seem to have the worst conversion rate of maybe any team. I have heard that G2s is pretty bad as well, but they also don't win pistols. But yeah, again, like Sprout, they seem to do the hard work and then just basically, I don't know if it's they switch off or something, but they've given a very early round over to Movistar Riders. the credit we have to give them is they always seem to be very strong in the buy rounds and manage to break things back. And Cressy gonna start just jiggle peeking, trying to spot anybody around the gap in the door. Mopos is playing in a bit of a crossfire with Shocks, although Shocks' position a little bit risky. Like it's one that basically if somebody runs around that corner, he needs a multi-frag. I guess he feels comfortable because of how aggressive Steel is, and will just fade back through his own smoke. Dennis, though, taking that space outside again. But he is actually going to lose a teammate on the cross. And Smooya, well, he's having a battle with Steel, who's going to be taking all of those fights. And eventually they end up tag teaming the remaining two, leaving Cressy trying to fix the mistakes of last round.
Looks like this should be over, though. Steel lined up. Cressy able to at least get the first kill, but Smooya's going to lock things down. A nice little early 3K for Smooya as well, talking about the offers. He defeats Slacks, who did have the op on his side. But I do want to say, as you talked about Dennis creating space, he's 2 for 2 now in killing Alex outside. So some frustration must be getting into the mind of Alex here at Movistar Riders. Then again, having Steel and Smooya there to back you up isn't going to be too much of a worry. But Movistar bounce back, take 2 straight themselves, and now we see Sprout just on the pistols. You do have to wonder, the round that Sprout lost against the Deagles, if the bomb didn't get lost in Decon, would they have been able to win the round? And obviously, that's impossible to predict. I think the important part to note here is that Movistar are taking that momentum off that victory and carrying it through into round 2, or their second round, potentially now into their third. And I really wouldn't want to play against Movistar once they're on that rampage, right? I feel like Sprout, we've already seen them struggle on T sides before, thinking back to Dust 2, where they just couldn't figure out how to successfully get into the site with how strategically deep Dust 2 is.
Yeah, I could definitely, I can agree with that. I think the way, especially that Steel plays, is the sort of thing that would make you break a desk. Because like he's so unbelievably aggressive at times, and then the next round, he just won't push anything. Like, it's almost like he knows what you're thinking, he knows what you're prepared for, and decides to do the polar opposite of it. Even in rounds where it might not necessarily make sense to do that. And he does occasionally get punished, I do have to admit. And considering he's the solo ramp player, that could end up being a little bit of a burden. The thing is, though, him and Smooya is a bit of a tag team on this map, especially with what we've seen so far. Looks like it might be quite tough to break down.
Yeah, and this honestly does worry me. Again, I know we talked about Train as our second map here, which was chosen by Movistar. I am worried potentially going into that if we do see Movistar take, I'd say, a comfortable victory. If it's close, then I won't necessarily say Train is like going to be a given for Movistar, but I am worried. If we see Movistar come out like 16 and Sprout less than 10 rounds, that momentum might carry over. Slack's such a pivotal point of the team for Sprout, as we talked about, that AWP, especially going onto a map like Train. If he's being shut down time and time again by Smooya here on Nuke, I worry for the bounce back for him in particular to be able to handle the op and potentially the double op setup when Movistar gets CT side.
But now, again, you can expect to see these rounds tick down relatively low. Sprout definitely like to use every second given to them on the clock. I think that's one of the only criticism I've really had of Sprout over the last few days is I'd like to see more switch-ups in pace. I think they've got the players that can definitely work as like double entry fraggers for those faster pushes. Dennis and Faven definitely have that skill within them. So we're going to see the flashes being popped over. Cressy's actually going to be the one to go in first. Mopos is almost just burnt to death. He's just about surviving in the corner. Eventually goes down through the smoke. And there is those entry fraggers one by one. Quick kills into the site. Steel and Smooya. It kind of just has to be a save of the weaponry.
So are you saying you'd like to see Sprout, instead of playing slowly around, potentially pull off like a blitzkrieg into it?
Sure.
Looks like Smooyan's still going to save the weapons, though. Steel only with the Galil. Obviously had the money to buy up an M4, but make sure to save this op at a minimum. Sprout with a good job of having a clean round. And I feel like we said that quite a few times, actually, yesterday, of being able to have like all 5 players left alive in multiple rounds, really trying to build up that economy, which, as we've seen so far, is going to be very important for their team. But that will be a tie-up at 3 apiece. I wonder if Steel will potentially buy up now or keep the Galil. Obviously, everyone on his team can buy. I mean, Smooth's at 6K. So even if they lose this round, there's going to at least be another op into the next. We're seeing Sprout take the timeout. Okay. We saw this happen quite a few times yesterday, right? Whenever they win a round, going into like the next round that's going to be very important for like the future of how this map's going to go, they take a timeout. They're definitely not scared to use them.
Yeah, for sure. There's a part of me that almost wonders if they just want their opponent to sweat a little bit, but I don't think Movistar Riders are going to mind the pause too much, give them a chance to properly juggle around the weaponry, make sure players are getting all the utility they need. It is a bit of a question, the fact that so far it seems like the A site has been the real vulnerability. Like Sprout have not tried to make too many plays into B other than the sort of failed Antico round in round number 3. Other than that, it's just mostly been outside control. And then I think the one round where they attempted to try and battle for ramp. So if your A site's your vulnerability, then that's a little bit more of a problem. And by the looks of it, they're trying to deny the presence outside altogether. A couple of players going very aggressive, one of them being Smooya with the AWP. But not really finding anything in the early stages of the round. They're just going to fall back. And that's the thing with Sprout. Like, again, they're very happy to play these slower defaults. Not necessarily taking too much control in the early stages, almost allowing for the aggression of their opponent. And then you'll start to see this slower style of lurk coming out from Dennis, which again, he can sort of, it seems like he's almost just feeding information through to the rest of the team. Like, okay, I've not spotted anyone here. I'm going to try and take a fight out on this side. And in the meantime, the rest of the team are just trying to make sure that, okay, they're not being allowed to go for any aggression elsewhere.
To be fair to Movistar, though, I do like the adaptation. Deny Dennis that early control outside so he can't get the kill against Alex potentially. And I'll allow him to relay that information back. But even with the delay, it's still going to be Sprout moving outside. A little bit of a 3-2 split. Looks like they will get secret control. Dennis taking a hell of a lot of damage from that Molotov, however. Looks like they're trying to potentially get down Vent. I'm not sure what Faven's trying to accomplish with this one. Maybe a distraction play. But even so, it's not like Sprout have been able to take lower control or really gain any more ground than they already had before.
You're kicking things off. This is that 1-2 punch again. The Brazilian and the Brit hand in hand once more, and they make that cleanup look way too easy. I thought there was at least going to be a bit of a brawl between the others, but that first shot taken by Smooya, Spiddy, of course, just left behind to try and catch off the rotations. It seemed like they were going to try and get Faven down the vent, and then that would be the sort of like, oh, okay, now we can rotate to follow him, and Spiddy was going to be waiting to cut them off, but unfortunately the players on the lower bomb site didn't get any kills. Faven goes down, and the plan falls to pieces.
Yeah, Tom, on that note about Faven, by the way, there was no smoke main. There was no smoke anywhere, really. I mean, there was one put down. I believe that was thrown by Mopaz, but there was no cover for him to get into the vent. So was he maybe just hoping to win an aim battle? Or hoping to be unseen? I'm not sure. Either way, Alex needs to be very careful with this AUG to not lose it. I think Spiddy just going to be salivating over the side of it. Dennis again, early control outside like we saw. Well, quite consistently out of Sprout. This time, Movistar not going to go for the challenge early on. He's been able to completely get in towards Secret. But the CT side of Movistar should know about this. Shouldn't be too big of a worry. They have Smooya actually in ramp at the moment. Steal to back him up. And actually, no one's watching their back. So Dennis could potentially push through. And, well, it's not Steal this time getting aggressive. It's Smooya. But again, man advantage for Movistar Riders. Early kill. And this aggression he talked about, this like polar opposites at some points with Steal. It's working out so well for Movistar that Sprout, even with them playing so passive, aren't able to deal with it.
Yeah, I think the ramp has been their main form of success. And that's why you see both Steal and Smooya currently topping the board. But Dennis, well, you say they should know about this. I have a funny feeling that at this point, they definitely don't. Steal should be dead to rights, although the angle he's opted to take is definitely an interesting one. Slacks is probably going to come around the corner, and they're not going to see him! Steel's going to do so much damage, eventually gets put down, and Smooya is actually caught by Dennis. It was almost like a sacrifice. Okay, I may not have saved my teammate, but at least I did take down the danger man. Mopaz already rotating in, but the bomb will be planted. It's been a weird round, that's for sure, but some very low HP players. Mopaz, he's going to go in as bait, but Shox is the one to land the shot. Alex also trading things out, and now Faven. He's left low, 34 HP. First kill goes his way without a problem, but now it's the two clutch players against each other, and the German comes out on top once again. 4-4, Sprout this time just scraping through the round. And while there's not going to be a break for them just yet, because Movistar Riders can easily still purchase.
Still amazes me to see Dennis have so much control outside, and for Movistar to not be aware of it. Maybe they're expecting a timing, maybe expecting Dennis to come earlier on. But the fact that he gets through and Steel can only get damage onto Spitty but not get a kill, completely giving that round over to Sprout. Obviously, Fave in the clutch at the end helps quite a bit too. Don't get me wrong. And another round that Dennis is going to take outside control. This time, though, Smooya playing up towards Heaven's going to have an angle on him if he does play towards Secret. Oh, but he can't hit the shot. Smooya's forced to back away, and at least they know Dennis is here. They already assume it as they go in towards Main, and Spitty on top of Main gets the kill into Alex. The side going to be overwhelmed, and Mopaz just hiding behind the vent. Will they even look to clear this angle is my question.
Somehow Smooya is still able to do a lot of damage. Normally an AWP on this sort of retake can't really do too much. Flax, not quite with the weaponry he'd be hoping for, and it's a tag and almost a kill. Only 3 HP remaining for Mopaz. Favin smells his prey, and again, he's going to be there to close out the round. A little bit closer than I'm sure they would have liked, and Smooya putting up a good fight here and there, but it isn't quite going to be the round. Interestingly, again, so Shox in that scenario only had a Deagle, and Steel had 2,800. It could have dropped him a FAMAS, could have dropped him an SMG, shotgun. Of course, parry match odds, as you can see. Banner still available down below, which you can click and get yourself a nice little bonus.
Oh, Mopaz. Is he going to play the edge of smoke, or is he going to look to push it? Favin, a good sign for him to have such a strong performance so far in this series where they desperately need it.
What?
Mopaz again. He just doesn't seem to care. All he needs is the Deagle. Thinking back to the round in round 3 where they clutched it out. Should have no right to get that kill. And this round still very winnable for Movistar. 3-on-3. Sprout still with full HP across their 3 remaining players. But Shox flanking him behind. He hears the drop. It should be at least 1 kill.
Mainly comes down to the timing of it. I think Smooya might be dead here. Again, Dennis just seems to gain so much ground without anybody realizing. Smooya dropping into the site might keep him alive a little bit longer. And there's the free kill you mentioned. However, Spitty is not going to have anything more of that. Mopaz, he has a decision to make. A 1v2 very much workable, but with only 30 HP, he almost needs someone to make a bit of a silly mistake. And with 40 seconds left, it's not going to come down to timing. Or at least time. Now they're going to drop the bomb down. Give that over to Dennis, as he will plant it in a safe position. Spitty... Oh, actually, he's picked not such a safe position. Luckily, Spitty is there again to trade. Definitely not as clean as Sprout would have liked, but hey, they've got a 6th round already on the T side of Nuke.
I think someone should tell Dennis when he goes to the gym to skip knee day, because his knees were so swole they were hanging out behind the silos there.
The classic knee day. Everyone does knee day.
Still a very close round, Movistar, considering what they had invested into it. We're going to see the op come back in the hands of Smooya. Slacks finally getting the op back in his hands as well, though he's unfortunately been relatively non-existent with it. But we see the pace picked up. Sprout do get outside control fairly early on. They get down towards Secret. Faven again being left to himself just to catch any potential rotators. And now Smooya holding ramp, Steel is actually going to be down towards lower. And this is that 1-2 punch position we were talking about before. So they're expecting the outside push to come in towards Secret. They're expecting the push to come in towards lower overall. And I would imagine Smooya is going to rotate back down. But I'm curious, can that 1-2 punch work for them 2 rounds so far in this half?
Cressy. He going to double back up? Because if you look at where the bomb is currently positioned, well, I'm going to say I'm not particularly a fan. Dennis doesn't really have anything to cross. So all this really says is that they're going to go back. Or they're going to try and use 1 smoke to get him across. It seems like a bit of a risky play, but maybe eventually realizing, okay, we've got enough space down below. But there are now 3 players ready and waiting on this site. 4 even. So this has been pretty much telegraphed. Now the spam's going to try and clear anybody from above, but Steel ducked below, so the bullets are not going to connect. The second this door opens, you have to think that Cressy is going to die, but actually a missed shot. It doesn't matter though. Mopaz is here looking to brawl with his opponents, and he's got Steel alongside him. This turns into a save. Movistar, the amount of information that they're able to gather throughout this round has just set them up for the perfect stack, and Sprout were none the wiser.
Freaking Mopaz, man. There's 4 players lower. And he's like, all right, hold on. I want to get all these kills. I'm going to charge into Decon to look for another one. But yeah, like you said, great little hold here coming out of the team for Movistar Riders. But again, it's been almost fairly one-dimensional for Sprout of let's get outside control. I mean, to be fair, it is nuke, but let's go secret and let's work lower. And Movistar having 4 players ready to go, obviously not going to lose that. Now we see Sprout with, I mean, obviously the AK and the op save from the last round. With that nade. Oh, I think it hits Slacks in the face. Smoothie takes down Faven. And Steel again. I feel like Steel, for the most part, except that one round where Dennis flanks him behind him ramp, has at least gotten 1 kill every time they've come towards ramp. Like, he's been such a strong anchor for the team. Not going to get the second, though, of course, as I do curse it. But still, he did get the 1 kill earlier on, and they still have the bad advantage.
That is true. The weapons have been retained, at least for now, on the Sprout side. And again, Dennis is going to go walkabout. Now, Alex is safe from this angle and expects that the flank will be coming, especially since nobody has spotted anything down on the lower bomb site. Smooya's already waiting here, so they had the information that, okay, if they've not come down the ramp yet, it can't really be anywhere else. The rest of the rotation is yet to really come in, although Smooya, his only goal here is to potentially get a kill, but also just feed through information. He's going to hear the footsteps the second they drop to the site. There'll be plenty of noise as a bit of a giveaway. And actually, the doors are open for the cross, but they've realized it. They've realized there's likely going to be someone here. Is he going to expect anybody to peek him from an elevated angle? And in fact, it seems like he's completely missed the players walking through on the cross, and Spinny's just like, well, there you go. See you later, Smooya. We've expected your play, and now they get an after plant with at least a few seconds left to spare.
Decent utility as well to buy some time. Fox, though, with the Molotov, not really in a position to help out Spitty over towards ramp, where Alex is going to be the man to actually push this one. And Spitty's going to fall. Shocks catches him off guard. Now Slack's left alone. He's got the op in hand at least, but he's got 3 players to find to pull this round back for Sprout to lengthen the lead to 2. And time is starting to tick away. The first push comes through, and he can't hit the shot. Mopaz is on 12 kills, FY. Smooya and Steel. 3 players on 12 kills. We talked about, Smooya obviously being a standout player. Steel, he's generally been the quiet one for the team so far within the playoffs. And Mopaz is being as consistent as ever. So a great step up from Steel. And Movistar now up 6-6.
And still, even just looking at this in general, though, I don't think Sprout are going to be too unhappy with the way that this has gone so far. Obviously, unusually, they did manage to win themselves the pistol, so that does boost what we're currently witnessing. But to have 6 rounds on the T side, definitely not bad on a map like Nuke. Steel once again. Going to try and get a little bit aggressive. It does seem as well that when they only have pistols, they do like to try and pressure ramp. Quite common. You'll even see that in your sort of matchmaking games, mainly because it's the easiest place to get close to your opponents. He's done so much damage. Finally, he is rewarded with a kill. And actually comes out with 4 there. That's very surprising. I thought 2, maybe 3 at a push, but put himself into a position where realistically for his teammates now, nobody else should die. They should just be looking to get this kill cleanly. Now, Dennis has found himself an AUG, and I'm sure that Spitty is already calling for him to try and survive, licking his lips at the thought of it. But I have a feeling that might not be a possibility.
I expected Steel to get so many kills, actually, in the initial push, to see how many people were just lined up for him. The amount of damage he did, like I said, it had to be insane. Oh, my God. Mopaz, chill, bro. Finger around the rosy with the smoke. And Mopaz will close it out for his 13th kill here in this first half. 7-6. I mean, again, it was just a rushed ramp. They didn't really have much, so you can't really expect them to accomplish too much there. Movistar continuing. Getting the lead. The economy's looking good for the last 2 rounds. And now Sprout, they have to have a response. I almost want to see, Tom, as we're talking about before, like they always seem to play so slow and so passive. I almost want to see just a rush upper. Hit that upper bomb site where we've seen Movistar be mortal.
Yeah, I think Shox has been struggling in some of these rounds. It doesn't necessarily look too comfortable. He has had one or two where he's only really had himself a pistol or something like that, but even still, could be someone to pressure. Although he's currently holding an XM, so maybe rushing into his face is probably not the best
He had that
idea in
last
the
round
world.
too, by the way. He's actually just carrying that over. Funny enough.
Maybe that was the other thing they were expecting, is the potential of a upper push. But then again, a hot XM, like, it's weird. I get excited about shotguns in this game quite often. This one doesn't excite me anymore because it's so common that it's not even really like a risky play, because there's so many players that will do it almost religiously. I like this push from Mopos and Alex though. The problem they've had is that whenever there's been like a deep push, oh, Alex! I feel like just patience there would have been key. Dennis, he's going to go down anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, that's an uncomfortable spray. Alex is another one who's been having a bit of a rough time. You mentioned what we've seen from him previously. Definitely someone that can step up to the plate. But well, let's see. Favin, can he get past the XM? Oh, this is the ugliest fight. And he does. No XM kill today. And actually another kill coming in elsewhere. Smooya, though, is just running riot. It seems like anyone that walks into his crosshair normally ends up dead, and there's another third kill in this round. 15th kill for the CT side of Nuke, and Steel is there to close. A resurgence from Movistar Riders in the latter stages of this round as they managed to streak 4 together. Of course, and check out Hellcase. There is a banner down in the description of, it's not a video, but of the stream, I guess you could say. And if you click it, if you're a new user, you'll get 70 cents. And if you're not, I assume then you get the 15% refill.
Well, last round of the first half here on our first map in this grand final. And Movistar, with the weaponry they have compared to Sprout, it looks like we might see that 9-6 half. I do like the adaptation. I mean, adaptation maybe isn't the right word, but the way that Movistar, for 2 rounds in this half, have gotten aggressive towards the outside. First time they actually fell back. I'm going to have to hold on to that point because it looks like the T's are just going to be overwhelmed here. So knows there's one player close, one player far, and he can't hit the shot, unfortunately, but at least Shox will be there to help assist. And now Dennis, the last alive in a 1-on-2. Maybe, just maybe, to get the round for Sprout, but that's going to be Steel pushing up ramp like he does. And Movistar will indeed take the 9-6 half. But the point I was trying to make was I like how Movistar are changing things up on the CT side. As you mentioned, Steel getting aggressive when Sprout don't necessarily expect it, and then getting passive in other rounds. Whereas on the outside, they've kind of done something a little bit similar. But that was the first round they've actually, I guess, kept their players that deep. Previously, before, they just wanted to challenge Dennis early, then back away. Because they know how aggressive Dennis was being and how much control he was gaining from that. But still, 9-6, not bad. Still can't complain about the 6 round Sprout got T side. But going to the second half now, this pistol round, I'd say, is desperately needed to stop momentum that Movistar have.
Yeah, for sure. I think Sprout got into a little bit of a rhythm in like the mid portion of the half where, again, we saw like a couple of explosive pushes into A. We saw Dennis able to luck outside for a few rounds, but it did seem like just how I almost want to say like adaptive Movistar work throughout. Like they would completely change their strategy in every single round. Like sometimes it would be Steel and Smooya pushing on the ramp. Sometimes they would have aggression outside. Sometimes you would even have a peek coming out of the hut just to try and catch players off guard. But then there'd be a round where they don't push anything and they just stay passive and wait. And I like those adaptations because it's very, very hard to play against. And it didn't really seem to backfire too often either. So good job from them. But now they have to strut their stuff on the T side. You're going to get the booty jumps coming in. Show your back to your opponent. And get yourself a little bit of extra space. You know, you're trying to distract them. That's how I play Counter-Strike because everybody's looking at that cake.
Cake. T side looking to overwhelm the site, and looks like Steel and Alex will be enough to do so. I mean, to be fair, I think there's a couple ideas, right? Because if your back's to the enemy, it's a lot harder to hit a headshot.
To hit him.
Yeah. And then
I prefer that he's showing off the cake.
Oh yeah, you're looking at that badunkadunk just bounce up in the air. You can only imagine what's going through the heads of a player. And
that's the true Spanish flair. Well, let's put it that way.
Hey, I know quite a few Spanish guys that have a luxurious butt, so I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, he's bouncing backwards, bro. You're looking at that cake.
Why have you said that out loud? Just Eyeing up the Spanish players. Watch out, everybody. This is a health and safety announcement. Jason Kaplan's around, so hide your booty.
Oh, 10-6. Movistar continuing to pick up these rounds. Slacks again. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Slacks. I really don't. But I feel like when we did see him get the op, that's when we started to have those turnaround rounds happen for them. And you pointed out yesterday, he's had the op T side. It hasn't been successful. I think Sprout, if they can get him set up like we saw Smooyu do on CT side with the op, I think Sprout can easily bounce back into the series, especially with Faven, who's already shown he's feeling clutchy today. If that's even really a word.
Yeah, I think especially, I don't want to harp too much on Slacks for the first half. I think T-side AWPing on this map sucks. Like,
Yeah.
sure, there were some aggressive plays that maybe he would have been there to counter, but that's just luck and timing. Like, that's like, for example, there were picks coming in onto Cressy that he could do absolutely nothing about just because of the timing of the peak. So, yeah, I don't think there's really too much to look at for him individually. Going into the CT side, though, I do agree. I want to see him get on that AWP early because I do think he's someone who can have that level of impact. The problem is they are, again, going to be running out of rounds by the time they start to actually get purchases on the board, because the 12-6 is almost inevitable unless we see like the same mistakes that actually came out from Sprout. And I don't know, like we've got some serious eco-fraggers when it comes to the Movistar rider side. Like, the Smooyu can smell them from a mile away. Like, he's literally hunting them down now. He's like, guys, I'm on 15 kills. I want to be at least on 18 by the end of this round. Like, there we go. First eco kill. Come on. All right, more. Need to keep running. No, steal. Stop stealing my eco kills. These are mine. If you not know, I come from UK Counter-Strike. This is my goal. But there you go. Mopos, he gets the script. But unfortunately, it seems like Steel is going to yoink every single one. You could say he stole them.
I knew you were gonna say that before you did. I think Smooyu just like visualizes on eco rounds. He's like, okay, the CT
I imagine he's like RoboCop, where he's like scanning through walls. He's like, boop, 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 and like it just works out where
well,
they
hopefully
are.
he's not scanning through walls, Tom. In my head,
In
I
his
was...
mind, so it's fine.
Oh right, okay. In my head, it was more like you know, he's just imagining they're like UK British candy bars. He's like, okay, there's a Curly Whirly, there's a Wispa, there's a Crispy. Or maybe I'm just so fat that I do that.
Oh god,
We do have a UK
wouldn't-
shop here in Cologne, by the way.
I wouldn't
And
mind a curly whirly right now.
Oh, so good. Put them in the fridge, make them a little bit hard, and as they like warm up in your mouth, they get chewier. Oh, the best. Except they're expensive. They're quote unquote expensive now, considering they used to be like really cheap.
Tredo's not being 10p. Worst thing that ever happened.
How am I supposed to live? I mean, you could pay me in Curly Whirlies and I'd be happy. If I had a fridge full, you know, like you people have like those Red Bull fridges or Monster fridges or whatever.
Put a fridge and just have like
just
4,000 curly
It's
whirlies.
just Curly Whirlies. I would die a happy man.
I just love the idea that there's someone who doesn't know what a curly whirly is, and this sounds like a really mental
that's true.
like
So
conversation.
It's like caramel covered in chocolate. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's simple
Yeah,
enough.
pretty much. I would say like, but not like, it's more like chewy caramel, not like soft that you might get in like other stuff. So
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It has yeah, exactly. See, I
got
remember
some bite to it.
some bite to it. Come on, it's caramel, man. I remember like the first paycheck I got when I moved to Cologne. You know, I was paid, you know, in a big envelope of cash, you know, my whopping 10 euros. And I went to the store and I just bought so much candy and cookies and, you know, what you normally would do when you're a kid and you get a paycheck, you know? Also, I have to say this because this, I don't know why people ever mention it. Fear this in chat. This dude sounds like Semmler.
You do.
Not even close. Not even close.
You do. Like,
Hey,
I
I'm not
thought you were-
complaining about what you're wearing and it not being professional. Okay? I'm not saying you rolled out of bed this morning and just wore
Also,
your
your
wrinkly
mustache
clothes.
isn't as cool.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You're like Semler without the suits.
No. So okay, I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to get in trouble. I mean, you're like Moses. Well, I see Harry and Hugo always get me because I always get their names backwards for some reason, even though I've known them for years now. But for me, They sound like Machine and Henry G. When they
Yeah,
cast.
they get that a lot, and they hate it just as much as you hate Big compared to Semler.
Well, you know, I don't say
Although
I
I will
hate
say,
being
I feel
compared to
like
Semler.
Hugo has pretty much just embraced the like Henry G comparison. I don't think he cares as much, and I think Harry loves the comparison that he gets. So it works out. Like I think they're pretty good. Then again, it's almost like Matt Andrews and Red Eye. Like that's the one that gets me the most. Like,
You mean Red Eye sounds like Matt Andrews?
of course, of course. Um.
Do
Yeah,
I have the
I don't.
style Semler has? Yes, totally do. As I'm sitting here in my Spider-Man underwear.
Just wait until it cuts back to camera. That answer will very quickly be answered for you.
I'm gonna go suit up real quick. Just to update you guys while we are talking nonsense. Spitty is having some loss at the moment, so we just kind of restarting his router. Hopefully things can be sorted. Also, I could say we just actually want to talk more, so we made Spitty leave the server, as people always know that the casters are the ones to start the game.
That is the thing I've noticed though, is like most people seem to get comparisons because of the way they sound. And then the comparison I got is purely based on both me and Moses being bald. That's it.
I mean, I've been bald at one point. I did shave my head.
Yeah, you could find that video on YouTube if anybody's
You
interested.
easily can. Yeah.
Maybe we can get Big Vu to just play that in the middle of the grand final. Just put you shaving your head on stream in the middle of our screens right now.
Honestly, the haircut places in Germany are closed. I need to cut my hair really soon for an event coming up, so I might as well just shave it here live on stream. Oh no, please no.
Let's do it.
Please no.
I don't know. I think it's good content.
My girlfriend will break up with me, so I can't afford that.
That's even better content. Like, if you video her reaction and then we get that, like we can do one of those like TikToks that are definitely not staged.
Definitely
That's
not.
always the thing I've loved about those prank channels. That there must be like one person in the entire universe who goes, "Oh my god, did he really?" And it's just the most ridiculous thing that you've ever seen. It's like, I don't even know. Like I saw one recently when I was like just scrolling through, and it was a guy who had a glass of milk next to him. So a guy walks up to him, puts the milk in, like pumps it into a water pistol, sprays the milk in his face, and then the guy goes, "I'm lactose intolerant." You're like, but you were drinking milk. Like, what do you mean? How that makes absolutely no sense. Like, who is watching this other than me, who came across it by a sheer accident? Like, is there someone who's genuinely like, "Oh my god, I hope he's okay"?
Yeah, I think that's as bad as the people who film themselves doing something nice for like homeless or something, like giving them a meal.
At
Because
least they're
they
doing
want
something nice though.
Well,
I don't mind
mean,
that as
it's
much.
it's selfish as hell because they're doing it because
It
they want the
is.
satisfaction of like, hey guys, look,
But-
I gave this homeless person a meal.
But at the same time, if it means they wouldn't have done it if they weren't filming it, I'd rather they did it, because at least then the homeless person had some food or some money or whatever they did. Like, so who
Or what
cares?
about the guy who faked it on YouTube?
If you're faking doing that, then get in a catapult and fire yourself into the sun. Like, if you're faking giving money to homeless people, you're going to straight to hell. If you're doing that, that's screwed up.
Just update again for you guys. Spitty seems to be all good to go, but now Cressy is having some issues as well. So
They
hopefully
only,
she's starting
they
his
only have
router.
one internet line in the whole of Germany, so they're having to
I hope
continuously
not,
switch.
because I'm on that line, and I don't know if you want to solo cast the rest of this finals.
They're gonna take down Jason Kaplan so that Cressy can join back into the server.
Or just have me join the server.
Yeah, they don't want to lose as badly. Like, because I can't say they don't want to lose because they are technically losing anyway. But yeah, I don't think you would help this. Maybe you'd bring some positive vibes.
I'll have you know, I am undefeated on LAN. Actually, no, I am undefeated in tournaments in my esports career.
Against who?
So back in ESL Pro League in the very first season, we did a 3-on-3 show match with me, Semler, and Moses up against Anders, Not2, and I think Devil Walk, if I'm not mistaken. And
how did you win?
Because I was freaking great at the game, bro.
But how did you actually win?
There is literally a clip of me 1v3 in them.
Was like Devil Walk not allowed to use his hands or something?
I mean, let's just say there's a reason Devil Walk went to coaching. All right. Because I destroyed him on land.
Why? It was just like, I've lost to Jason Kaplan. I can never show my face again.
Pretty much. Okay, so quick update. Looks like everything is sorted. We are on GoTV, so we gotta wait, about the 90 seconds it is for everybody to get back on this, or for it to load on our side. So we should be getting back into this in just a few seconds' time. If you guys have missed out, this is the grand finals here at the European Development Championship Season 2 between Movistar Riders and Sprout. We're currently in Map 1 with Nuke, obviously, as you can see on your screens. Train to come up second, which will be Movistar Riders pick, and Mirage third and final, if we do need to get there. $30,000 on the line for the entire tournament, $17,500 for first place, $7,500 for second. And obviously the pride that comes along with taking home the title here and being the best in the tournament. And right now, Movistar Riders, 12-6. It's honestly felt like a 12-6, if not even more one-sided for Movistar, because Sprout did take the pistol round and the follow-up round, where they did lose the third round up against Movistar with Mopaz and the Deagle.
Yeah, it's also now been, 8 rounds in a row? Like for the side of Movistar. So although in some of the early stages it was a little bit close, this is starting to get a bit out of control. But we're about to witness the first buy from Sprout, so I'm not going to completely count them out just yet. I think this is where realistically they need to start turning the tide. However, because if they lose this one, we're basically likely looking at a 14-6 before they actually get another purchase. So that will basically be just, okay, can Movistar Riders just cheese a couple of rounds, and then that'll be enough to close out the map. And yeah, get this off to a flying start, because as you already mentioned, this is the choice of Sprout, and the next map is Train, where they had some real troubles earlier in the tournament. Already, we're going to see a fast take outside. Although we had some pushes from Dennis in this direction, he might actually miss the timing coming out of the vent. They've already gone past, but at the same time, him being here could be a problem. I'm more interested in whether or not Smooya is going to check it, but it might not matter too much because his teammate falling is going to have to be some pretty good timing here from Dennis as he looks to wrap around the corner, spots the first. That's the bomb on the deck. However, Shox is very quick to trade things back out, making sure that the chances are slim. Sure, there's a man over towards the ramp, so they do have to be a little bit careful with this plant. And Steel, oh dear, aggressive pushes once again, turning things into a 3v2 situation. Cressy also tagged, and more importantly, Mopaz has come around on the flank.
Well, Favin's had a couple of good clutches so far, but 1-on-3 with the bomb already down. He's just going to back off. I do want to point out, start of that round 4 in the second half. Smooya, Shox, Alex all have over 5K, and Smooya has an op. In round 4, insane the amount of money they're able to make in these rounds so far and how clean these rounds have mostly gone for them. But like you said before, if Sprout loses this first buy-up round, we're looking at 14-6 before they get their second full buy-up. And they're going to have to channel what Movistar did in their round 3 with these pistols that I'm assuming they're going to force up to. This is tough times. Sprout's pick. Train next. We talked about momentum in Movistar's way if they do, win potentially like 16 to less than 9 rounds for Sprout. And Movistar is showing no mercy. I mean, look at Shox, 9K. Mopaz, 8K.
Yeah, they've kept these last few rounds very, very clean, which is definitely not going to make things any easier for Sprout. And losing that initial buy round means that they've also managed to retrieve an AWP and end up with basically as good a buy as they could ever get without having any of those sort of horrible rounds in between where they've lost because they had those SMGs or those pistols or whatever it may be. Steel, he's doing what Dennis did, but if you're watching the video on 2x speed. He has managed to get here within the 35-second mark, already looking to wrap around into heaven, and he's not alone. Shox is here as well. Now, it does seem like Slacks has a pretty decent idea that somebody's already managed to make it this far, and Movistar Riders have just decided to slow everything down. Like, wait for someone to look for information, wait for someone to take a bit of a risk to try and find a kill back. Now, Slacks, if he loses this duel, I feel like it's going to be almost like a domino effect because him falling, sure, he gets one, but now they've got heaven control. And this pretty much makes every single position that they're currently holding a horrific one. Shox is going to make things work for Cressy. Nice work from Speedy, though. He actually manages to turn this back because he kills the man in heaven and drops the bomb up there as well. So somehow they managed to make this work.
Cressy just staying alive, really putting the pressure on with the crossfire they had to the men towards second vents. You see our pair match odds. Well, they were in favor of Sprout quite a few times during this match, but they've quickly got in favor of Movistar Riders, 1.1 to 6.25. insane odds right now for Movistar Riders. And why wouldn't it be? 13-7. They lose that round, yes. So at least Sprout do get a nice bounce back. Spitty on the AUG as well. Those hunger has been satiated for now. Or sated for now. But we still see Movistar Riders keeping that confidence. Looks like they're going to push through Rent, maybe flash through the smoke to catch Spitty off guard, but he's ready to drop down as soon as he possibly can. Decent nade coming through, at least. Helps soften up Mopaz. But Sprout need to start chaining rounds together. They need to start having some clean rounds as well, because in case they lose a round, they're going to have to, force back up. They don't want to force us to go into overtime.
Yeah, luckily the manner in which they managed to win the round actually does give them a fairly big booster of cash, because Cressy, Dennis, and Slacks didn't actually have to purchase any weapons. But yeah, even still, it wouldn't be a particularly good buy if they were to lose every single player going forward. However, the blip on the radar, we'll see if that actually makes a difference. Like, will Movistar Riders just go back to almost running over Sprout, or is this going to almost breathe some life into this Sprout side? Now, they've already rotated Spitty down a little bit early, maybe expecting there to be a take outside, but as of yet, it seems like they're setting up some flashes to potentially burst into A. However, it's only really Shocks going for the peak, and wow, the timing couldn't be worse for Dennis. He tries to cross as Alex is just waiting patiently. Steel now bursts through the smoke, and he spots out the second player as well. All Cressy can do is get one. It's left mainly onto Favin, and Spitty finally makes his presence known, looks to try and deny the plant, and well, he may succeed in that regard, but there's nothing more to be had. Good return to form from Movistar Riders, but definitely a few slip-ups here and there from Sprout.
I didn't even realize Steel, 26 kills. I didn't realize he even got into Heaven that quickly. Was able to get him behind them. I mean, he's doing what Dennis did. But like you said, 2x speed, and he's even going further. Instead of going for that secret control, he's going up in towards Heaven. He's applying the pressure from an entirely another angle. And keeping that pressure on Sprout is actually look to put pressure on the outside. Dennis here with Slacks. Dennis already been spotted. He's going to fall, but Slacks able to at least return the 1 kill. If I'm not mistaken, that's Mopaz actually been able to get out through door, or at least be in Squeaky at the moment. And Slacks, he's in a very rough position. He's been spotted out. This should be a quick kill coming through. Oh, but Smooya gets caught looking the wrong way, and Alex wasn't there for the return frag. At least spots out a second player towards main. Gets the kill even while blinded up. We expect Slacks, and well, yes, he does. He gets the kill, puts things into a 1-on-1. This was a 1-on-3 as Spitty's left alone, and all he has right now is the ump.
There's a lot of time as well for Alex to play with. Normally in these sort of 1v3 clutches, you're looking at maybe 30 seconds tops to try and get anything done. He can do his due diligence and try and clear out some of these angles. The amount of time is taken as well is also going to start putting doubt into the mind of Spitty. Nobody starts to push in that direction, almost trying to play off the potential of where he was last seen. Dead, Alex. Like he's just going to try and potentially play into the hands of Spitty. Does edge towards that B site hold. The only question will be if Spitty starts to second guess himself. The thing is, I'd almost want to hold on A because a rotation down to B seems a lot easier, but whatever was the reasoning, he's got it spot on, spotting him out, and Alex trying to fake the steps as he goes for the peak, but Spitty plays this perfectly. I don't know what it was that convinced him to stay put on that B site the whole time, but he got it spot on.
Much needed round for Sprout. Alex almost pulling off the 1v3, but Spitty holding strong, like you said. And Sprout's going to take a timeout. I think they should. The money, it's honestly not looking amazing for them. But they need to have a strong round here. Considering Movistar Riders, well, their money's not in too big of a hurt either. 6K for Mopaz, 4K for Alex, 5K for Shocks. Smooya and Steel both below 3,500. But I guess that's the explosive play we needed out of Sprout to get back into this, right? It was looking extremely bad for them. 9-6 half. They get a massive win a couple of rounds prior with the SMGs coming through. But Smooya's back on the op, and we see Spitty back on the AUG. Faven, though, fortunately, SMG only for him. I would imagine he maybe wants to get aggressive, maybe towards Hut, or maybe just hold close Hut to play with that angle. Even Movistar, by the way, taking a timeout off the back of Sprout taking one.
Anything you can do, we can do better. Maybe it's of that, or Steel just needing a little bit of time to talk through with the remainder of the team. And they are still firmly in the lead, but I think they probably watched some of the matches that we had yesterday and know that Sprout can definitely roll rounds together. In most cases, in fact, they were losing 5-6 rounds down and then managing to come back in full force once the rifles come into play. So if they can crush Sprout early, not allow them to get everything that they desire, not allow the AWP to start coming in more for Slacks, then it could make a big difference. They've got a piece or two missing themselves here, although Smooya is still on the AWP. I would almost be inclined to say at this point it might just be worth sticking to the rifle. I think, again, unless you're going to see somebody getting relatively aggressive, which I suppose they did in the last round, it isn't going to necessarily be the most impactful gun in the world. However, it looks like, again, the plan is to try and take deep control, but Smooya is going to be caught. Dennis, well, I'm sure he's got a grin on his face after how easy that first kill was, but he actually decides to go back for more. And Favin has caught off Shox as well. It's only Steel to respond at all. And he's not going to last long.
Good round here for Sprout. Much needed yet again. Even Mopaz to himself in the MAC-10. Can't imagine he's going to get a whole lot done in this round. Maybe get the one kill. That's going to be on to Dennis. Cross back over to Red. Going to be well, stopped by Slacks. Sprout back on the warpath. 14-9. As we're going to see Movistar Riders going to be on the save. I'm almost expecting a rush upper or event dive coming into this round. Then again, they're starting to buy deagles, and we saw what Mopaz could do in round 3 of this map with just that gun. In fact, I'm going to continue with the SMG, so looking to make some extra money in this round.
Yeah, I think partially through necessity, especially if Slacks just manages to stay alive, he can almost just drop an AK over. Dennis is going to be the one padding his stats a little bit, and Mopaz hiding in the smoke. I think he's going to have a nasty surprise when it does eventually fade. Biddy not looking impressed. Oh my god, Mopaz. That's ridiculous. Peeks out, finds a kill. I don't think there's going to be much more in this round, especially with Smooya now realizing that he almost has to wait and hope. Mopaz, that AUG of Spiddy's, well, it's being put to use, but a little bit counterintuitive to what Sprout was hoping.
To be one of the worst rounds for Sprout to lose, considering the momentum shift they've been able to get. Especially money-wise. As Mopaz, who's been on a tear, 24 kills now. Looking to continue this through. It's still going to be tough to pull this off. 40 seconds left to go. It's Smooya trying to rotate around with the P250. You have to worry about the man on top of Hut, though, who's going to be the real distractor. Cressy's going to get the kill. That's the bomb now down. And Mopaz, a little bit too much tough to ask as the flashbang perfectly catches him. And Sprout will take another round.
Oh, 14-10. Not too far away, especially on the CT side of Nuke. We know how much of a combo breaker it can take sometimes to stop a streak of rounds on this map. Yeah, definitely not quite like the old iteration of the map, thankfully, but still definitely possible. We're going to have AKs across the board this time. Smooya not having the finances for the AWP, and probably not the start they were hoping for. Now, Dennis's gun has been spotted by Mopaz. It's all going to be about patience. He can't do anything other than that, the wall bang, or do no damage whatsoever. Does seem like instead they're almost trying to bait him to switch. The nades are just faking things out, but Dennis almost seeming like a statue at this point.
Movistar really trying to set things up, hoping for any aggressive plays. Slack's got to be so careful here. He misses the first shot. He's going to be overwhelmed. They can't afford to have a player like him go down, especially with Mopaz getting a frag at the exact same time. It looks like Cressy was going for the push inside of Hut. Instead, he will back away, and now the 5-on-3. Mopaz still trying to catch in when rotating through. Movistar slowly do get that grass completely over the lower bomb site. Bomb now down. Fav and Cressy, Spitty all going to need to go massive here. But at the same time, do you save it? They don't have the money to fully buy into the next round, and I can already see that that's going to be the answer. Save and play for the overtime. Whoa, Faven. Okay, well, he's not going to be so lucky. Cressy might not be so lucky either. Though I don't think they're going to expect another player to be under Marshmallow. There you go, Tom. But 1 round to go for Movistar, and Sprout, they have a hell of a fight back. 5 rounds in a row with subpar weaponry. And to remind you guys once again, this is their map choice. Train to come up next. And we've seen Movistar have so many good games when it's come to Train.
Well, Cressy at least manages to hold on to the gun. Of course, parry match still going to be available in the banner down below, so make sure to check that one out. But yeah, 15-10. I think that round almost just falls apart because of Slacks. Like, a little bit too aggressive with the AWP. The thing that worries me there is, was he caught in transition, or was that the play? Because I feel like getting more aggressive in that situation, like, you would have had to pretty much hit some completely ridiculous shots for him to actually get away with anything there. And to note, we see, I think you said at the time, Mopos get a kill on the other side of the map. It was actually Dennis. So it was, he then finally moved. All that time he was watching him with the gun. Mopos is just patient enough to just sit there and wait. I have to say, I know myself, I would have got bored and just like looked away, probably just as he was about to move. But Mopos makes sure that that second kill comes through. And then there's not really much of a chance, as they've lost the ramp and the player who would probably have been rotating to get to the B site quick enough. But either way, we are going to see why come back in. It has to, of course. A scout coming in for Slacks is definitely not the ideal weapon. And, well, it must be a bit infuriating for Spiddy. The one time that he's not actually on the ramp is the time they decide to barrel through it. So he'll be back to his normal position once again. And Slacks is going to be battling outside.
Well, Alex is going to be the one to challenge there. I believe Steel as well. And taking their time, not really in a hurry to make the move on this round, trying to bait out any potential utility Sprout has. Depending on Shocks now to hit the opener. Flashbangs come through and Spiddy's completely bonded up, but he doesn't make any noise. Steel getting the kill into Dennis, opens up potentially the upper bomb site. With Spiddy following to Smoothie with the op, the round might be over. The map might be over. Slacks at least able to respawn onto 1, but they're still going to be down a man. They're still lacking a lot of key information, and Steel is looking to continue to push the issue on outside, and with Cressy missing that shot, going to put it all into Faven and Slacks in the 2-1-4.
Faven's not quite had a game to remember. They're definitely not like the standout bad performer or anything, but we know that a lot of the time he needs to do a little bit more. Interestingly, Slacks has actually managed to get a kill with a USP, so an upgrade of weaponry at least. The rest of the Ts, however, have gone back through hell and made it up into heaven to look to take the A site instead. Slacks will probably hear them planting that bomb. So all the information will be there for Sprout. Obviously, having Faven on the lower bomb site was enough to have a pretty damn good guess. Smoke going through, but it's a little bit deep. I don't think that smoke actually helps them too much. And if anything, the main one that sections things has to come a little bit later. Of course, with the amount of time, the CT side don't really have a choice but to try and push through it. Smoothie even going to peek into the crosshair, but it doesn't matter. He's taken the head, and he'll be there to close things out as well. It's 16-10 for Movistar Riders. They do a good job in the first half and close it on their T side. And while once again, Sprout, they're going to lose their map choice, but we do know, Jason, this is something that happens quite regularly.
Yeah, it happens too regularly, I'd say, for a lot of teams we've seen so far in the tournament. But still, we did see some signs of life. It's unfortunate Faven wasn't able to have the performance, as you mentioned before, that we did get to see yesterday. Cressy as well, even Slacks a little bit, though he had a very tough time on T side with trying to op. He didn't really have the opportunity to use it too much on the CT side, but that does obviously lead us into Train, where we can see that double op setup starting. Now, I believe Movistar Riders chose Train, so I'm expecting to see Sprout start on the CT side. So if we can see if they can bounce back here, we have to head to a short little break. When we come back, we have Train kick it off. Remember, it's the grand finals here, and currently Movistar Riders are up 1-0.
Thanks, Samla.
Headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates. Headshot. Nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. I wanna see you falling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Very much. They play, you win.
Welcome back to the European Development Championship, brought to you by Gaming Malta, your home of gaming excellence. I'm Semler, joined by Moses, as we're taking you underway now with our second map in our best of three grand final. Wait, why do you wish that?
That I'd be working for Team Liquid. Like, hell yeah. They'll be making the big bucks. I'd have a lot more Twitter followers. Like, there's a lot of reasons. I'd be better looking. All of those things.
I mean, I can argue against that. You're a pretty handsome guy. You would have a pretty nice house with some sweet barbecue action going on if you see
And
his
his
Instagram.
dog. Oh, he's got the most adorable dog. I don't have a dog, so... But there's a lot of things I'm jealous of.
Well, you could just get a dog, Tom. It's that easy. Just like it's
It
that
wouldn't be
easy
the
right
same.
now for Movistar to take the first map on Nuke, finishing off in a very flying fashion with multiple players putting up some big numbers. But that means we're going to be heading over to our second map of Train. And you can see our pair match odds have slightly swung in favor of Movistar, a little bit wider than it was at the start of the series. 1.55 to the 2.35. But Train, I know we can see this going 3 maps. I know we could see it get there, but I just feel like with the 16-10 scoreline, Movistar just seemed to have everything going for them.
Yeah, and it's fair. The thing that's weird about Sprout, though, is it just seems like when they need a victory, that's when they step up. So it's like, if I'm looking at like the statistics, even like head-to-heads, like everything points that Movistar Riders should be here to take this map. Like, I'm not going to argue against that. Even just look at the last map and form. Everything seems to think that the Germans should now be going out in second place. At the same time, you look back at some of the results they've had. Yes, they got destroyed 16-5 versus Sinners, which is a team that, okay, sure, definitely on the rise, but they should be beating. They had losses to Isako Bors, EC Kiev on this map, which I'm not going to lie to you, I can't name you many players on that roster. Then you go back a little bit further, and they beat Team Spirit in overtime. So it's kind of like, logically, those two results make absolutely no sense being side by side, but that's just Sprout. Like, they seem to come in on that first map. It's their choice. Most of the time they lose, and they do seem to pick Train quite regularly. This time, it's picked by their opponent. They get to start. Really having too many struggles. Namiga probably being the closest opponent, and that's understandable. But yeah, you're getting into what is our second map, potentially the final map in the entirety of the tournament. And Sprout, well, to take us to a third, they've got to step up.
Well, it all starts on the CT side of Train. Get that op set up, get Slacks comfortable, more importantly, where Smooya seems to be so comfortable in that first map. And look at this aggression. No backwards jumping cake action so far. But at least able to get some presence early on, force out some early utility, maybe bait out a rotate or two. But all 5 members of Movistar Riders are here to play. 1 flashbang left to go in the hands of Steel. First one does open things up to force Spitty out of position, but Spitty's still going to hit the shots, and they look to wrap around lower as well.
Will be Smooya to bring things back in an after-plant position, although they haven't managed to take too many aggressive spots. Ooh, that is awkward for Faven. Normally somebody so crisp, but clean, and Shocks actually comes back to take that duel. The headshot connected. He should have been dead a long time ago, but luckily they have managed to clear out Cressy, or Cressy's managed to clear out Mopos, I should say. The trade's going backwards and forwards, the kit retrieved, and now Steel, he's got to actually try and spam him through the smoke. It doesn't look like he's connecting. It's gonna get defused right in front of his face. Now, it's a close round, but it is going to be won by the side of Sprout.
Gets denied the kill at the very end as well. Great use of the flash to potentially force Steel off the angle, or at least force him off the position he was at, but that shouldn't really happen. But Sprout not taking time out, again, to talk some things over. Typical style here for Sprout, and yeah, Favin, that's not a good sign. And obviously, we don't want to put too much pressure on him or Slacks with AWP or anything like that. But he was so crisp, he was so clean in their match yesterday against Sinners. Like, he was massively one of the factors.
He aced the final round.
Yeah.
That's all you need to say, really. I think that was like a 2v4, 2v5 as well. Like, he was unbelievable yesterday. I almost wonder, like, there's a part of me that's even questioning if that was a tactical timeout, because that's a weird time that, like, when they've had so many sort of tech issues, I wonder if they were just having some stutters or something, because sure, I understand, like, after you win a close round to take a pause, but why? If it's the pistol round, I feel like that's a little bit much. We are going to see a force buy, of course, from Movistar Riders. 4 kills, bomb plant. It allows them for a pretty decent buy going into this round. Sure, Steel's had to take the hit, and Shocks won't have himself a rifle for this round, but I wouldn't count them out, especially knowing the history of Sprout in their second rounds.
Well, at least that scout couldn't be seen. Movistar still keeping 3 players towards Ivy, even going for a nader to potentially connect, but not quite going far enough. And look at the rotations out of Sprout now. Dennis repositioning. Cressy got to also reposition himself as well. They need to make sure no one gets outside pop, but luckily for them, Favin will be there. But I think having Movistar take Ivy, as long as they can maybe smoke off, which they still technically do have, any shots coming in from Dennis, if they can assume he's towards the right-hand side, it's going to give them so much extra ground to play with here. But looks like they might walk into this. Mopaz with the Galil, maybe the first to take the contact. Going to come in. Dennis. Well, sightline's completely eliminated. So good job. Good start here at Movistar. And actually go straight through the smoke here to try to take this outer site together in a 3-2 split. Shot first in contact. It's the 1-for-1 trade. Now they should be able to overwhelm Dennis, as you can see him sitting behind as he switched over to the M4.
That's the bomb. The Steel's gone peeking in with it. They've had to try and use some utility to at least section him off. Smooya and Mopaz, though, they've managed to turn this into a 2v2. Now, they know that the bomb is still open, and eventually Favin and Slacks combine to trade things out. A little bit close for comfort, but hey, they've almost done the impossible, Jason, and they've managed to get themselves a second round.
But can they get the third? On Nuke, they couldn't. We saw the Deagle plays out of Movistar. I think they should be able to take this, though. Favin, the SMG. And there's really not much bot up on the other side, to be fair. No utility at all from Movistar to use in this round. Come down to that pure aim. Mopaz back with the Deagle. Over some early control. Going to try to walk down ladder directly into Favin, who is more than happy to clean up that kill. Looking for number 2 as well, and well, Dennis will steal it away. So far, a good round for Sprout. Get a clean round under their belts. Get a lot of money built up on top of this. Get that op over for Slacks eventually. And preferably for Sprout. Have a relatively strong first half CT side of train.
It doesn't look like there's going to be anything here for Movistar either. So Sprout convert themselves the first 3 rounds, and now we have to see if there's going to be a change, because this is definitely one of those maps where I feel like momentum is key. A lot of the time when you see these stronger T sides from a team is because they're able to break down the economy. They're able to reduce the amount of utility there is in the early stages of the round. And also just, you can start going for those riskier plays out main if you're feeling almost hot, I guess you could say. So Movistar Riders are going to want to get off to that strong start. The money really not bad at all for Sprout. You can consider this a proper style bonus round. And they're even going to get a little bit aggressive. A bait and switch with Favin in the corner. The whole point is that they're going to try and target Spiddy and not expect the player close. Shocks. Well, there comes the Incendiary to try and hold him back a little bit. Don't know if he's going to fall for the surprise. If anything, I feel like the Incendiary actually baited him to go back.
Will we expect Favin now to push? Normally wouldn't expect a player to go like this. Might be able to catch a player or 2 off guard. You can see Smooth is going to be on the AWP. Mopaz pushing up as Dennis is going to be there to support. And there's Favin. Drops down behind them. Gets 2 quick kills. Switches up to the AK. Now Alex and Smooth are left alone with 50 seconds. I mean, there is a possibility they just go for the save here unless Smooth can hit a shot or 2. Don't want to give this op over to the CT side and allow them to have a double up set up with ease. And now Smooya is definitely left alone, and he's going to look for some kills here, at least able to get one onto Dennis. 35 seconds left to go. So a lot of time for him to potentially save on. And I guess Sprout technically could throw a couple players towards this to take it away. We see Favin still pushing. Very likely that Sprout can take this op out of his hands. You can see the rest of the CTs are actually going to be committed to holding outside. So I'd imagine maybe throw Favin, maybe throw one more player towards it to get it. But it seems like with the positions they're holding, they're not really going to look for it.
I'm quite surprised, actually. Just because of how much money they're going to have at the end of this round. Like, Cressy's going to easily break, like, that $10,000. So is Favin as well. So, oh, no, maybe not. I was looking at the post round. But even still, they've got a ridiculous amount of cash either way. So could have definitely opted to try and take that out. It does leave Smooya in a little bit of an awkward spot going into the future rounds, but I guess if they're not going to have the AWP, he could just go for a pistol or something, or they can go for the bomb plant. Of course, you can check out Paramatch banner down below. But for this round, at least, Smooya is going to have to be the pivotal player. See how much damage he can do with this AWP.
Nice little start. No way to overwhelm him. The Molotov going down to prevent that rush down. As you said, relying on Smooya to open things up. Mopaz potentially can rescue a gun here, but Dennis, I think he did spot Mopaz out. Yeah, clean kill for him. Now with a 3-on-5. And where is Smooya realistically going to be able to get a pick? Will he be able to bait a couple of teammates to look for it? You got Slacks holding long range. You got Spitty up close. With a minute left to go, I would imagine saves shouldn't necessarily be in their minds. Spitty caught off guard by that Molotov from himself. But this is a really nice switch. Like, I think it was very important for Sprout to take pistol, take the next couple of rounds after, considering how Nuke went against them. Especially CT side of train here, get every round possible before he swapped to that harder side. And here comes the push in. Fox caught not looking as Steel's able to get out towards the site, but Alex is going to fall. Smooya with the bomb trying to provide some sort of support, but there's not much assisting he can do against Steel. And yeah, this is just going to be a save yet again out of Smooya. And Sprout not losing a single player, Tom. Important. Look at this money building up. Dennis on 6,900. Cressy, 6,500. And then Favin at 9,300.
Well, this time they are going to throw a few weapons into the blender. Try and catch out Smooya, but he might be safe here. Is Cressy going to go for it? Might be a little bit slow to try and burst up. But it is going to be a 5-0 start. And this is what I talk about when I'm saying momentum. Like, Movistar Riders, even though it's only been a few rounds, already starting to look like they could be out of this map because they're just finding absolutely nothing. It's very, very easy for Sprout to hold on. They've got a ridiculous amount of cash. They could even buy in a secondary AWP if they wanted to here to just try and make things more dynamic. And I feel like for Movistar, they need a round where they basically just explode onto the site and try and get themselves some opening picks. The problem is, with Smooya's AWP, you can't really go for such explosive rounds unless you're just going to set him up in main later on. So you've got to hope for their sake that they start finding something soon, because Sprout, well, it is looking like that sort of second map Marvel where they don't necessarily show up in their first, in their choice. But when it comes to the second map, they just look unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of hated the idea of, like, thinking, okay, if you pick the map, you should win the map. I mean, obviously, just a map you're comfortable on doesn't mean you're necessarily going to secure it. And Sprout at least showing they can play from behind, which is so difficult to do for a lot of teams. But finally, as we do have Movistar Riders get an initial kill in the round by Steel, he's going to fall then there to Cressy. A little bit of a stall coming out of Pop, though, as you see the smoke down. Smooya trying to play on the edge of it, though, looking to actually, I guess, just back away for now. The inner bomb site's a little bit open, as Spitty's going to be the one to defend it with the AUG. And we can see him just really sitting far back. And Spitty, I mean, on the AUG is insane. Really didn't get to see much of it on the CT side of Nuke, but here comes the push in. Now we have a chance to see it here on Train. And it's gone.
Oh, the first time we see a proper take working out for Movistar Riders. The booty jiggle of Spiddy on the ladder is not going to find enough. Well, at the T side here, I almost don't want to see them hunting at all. Like, their finances are in an awful state. Sure, they'd like to take the AWP away from Slacks, but it's not really going to change anything just yet. And well, it is going to be a first round for Movistar Riders. Does seem like, again, like Steel just finding a pick earlier on, it gave them a little bit of extra space, but it was mainly that push down the ramp. The fact that both players, or one of them almost caught in transition, and then the other, well, just gets wrecked by the AWP of Smooya. See how sustainable that's going to be. And as said, for Sprout, this really isn't too much of a worry whatsoever. Plenty of finances available, AWP saved. They can, again, just go for a secondary one if they so desire. And even going to keep an AK to go with it.
Yeah, Dennis, by the way, as you mentioned, could go for a second op. They will secure it for him. Now, this is where that fast pace can really catch you off guard. Again, if we get some like forward utility thrown, some smoke, some flashes, Movistar can easily pick up the pace and open up these sites. But then again, Sprout, if Slacks is hitting his shots, which so far it seems like he is, currently on 5 kills, if Dennis is hitting his shots when he's currently on 8, it's still going to be very difficult for Movistar to deal with, no matter how good you are as Smooya. But at least we'll get him set up in towards Ivy. 3 players there. They have a player actually pushing towards upper on the inner bomb site, looking for a pick. And Slacks is going to push up aggressive. He catches him looking the wrong way. Shock's going to fall. Early man advantage over to Sprout. Looks like the pressure's coming on to Smooya now as he's going to push this position. Not going to win the trade, though, as Dennis gets the kill. Mopaz will at least be able to return the 1, so they open things up towards the outer bomb site. There's still so many players left to find, and they have no pressure from their own team coming in from main.
Oh, Cressy stuck in the mud here. He has been spotted. It would only come down to timing for Mopaz to not get this kill, and well, eventually Cressy will fall. It started so strong for Sprout with the opening picks, and Favin is going to continue on that same vein. 3v2 situation. Deal with the bomb in hand. Flashbang high and almost catches out Mopaz. In fact, instead, they quickly turn it once again. A back and forth round with Spiddy, now the last remaining. The B-site defender looking to try and rotate, and he will be able to pick off Mopaz. It's left to him versus Steel. The Brazilian looking to try and get the bomb down. I think he could have spotted his leg there. Instead, the swing comes out. Steel doesn't really need to fight this. Going to take a slightly more elevated angle. Only has 41 HP and continues to peek. He almost hands that one away. Trying to catch Spiddy off guard, but the German was more than prepared.
One round, I don't talk about Spiddy and his AUG. Able to get the 1v2 clutch. Still an expensive round, right? They did lose one op, but expensive doesn't really matter for the German side as they're up 6-1 and they have so much money in the bank. Are they to go back to double? No, Dennis is not going to go for it. Spiddy, I'm assuming, yeah, he's going to have an AUG. Okay, so we see the triple AUG, 1-op setup. Whereas on the other side, Spooy's still back to AWP, and the money they have is just non-existent, considering they're only able to take 1 out of the first 7 rounds. Yeah, they got the bomb down, but that's only been able to provide them buy into this. Mopaz, he's expecting this aggression. Look at this. Dennis is going to walk into it. No flash to assist, but problem is Mopaz peeks around the corner, gives up the position, and Dennis is more than prepared, and now Cressy as well. Looking good for the T side of Movistar. Sprout again. Looking in dominant fashion in this round.
Ooh, okay. Bit of damage onto Favin. Now, they were 5v3 in the last round to bring it back into their favor. So, with the amount of space they've gathered, it is very much possible that it still comes back. And Dennis is going to be picked off over towards Ivy. Steel, though, walking out into the open, has been caught by the boost. Brown seemingly just slipping away. And now Smooth is the last one left alive once again. Now, the loss bonus is peaked, so they will have extra money for the next round, although it's not particularly good on a couple of the players. But that's not really the problem anymore, as they are 7-1 down. Hellcase, of course, a banner available below as well. Bonus for new users and a refill as well with the code on screen.
Get yourselves some sweet skins that you're seeing here played by the users. By the users? The players? Users. That makes no sense. Tactical timeout coming from Movistar. Talk some things over. The way this is going, Sprout is looking to stretch the series into a third map, which would be onto Mirage. And to be fair, I think that'd be an exciting finish between the two teams. With how we saw Favin again, that like 2v5 clutch he pulled off with the ace to win the game. We saw Alex and Mopaz having some fantastic performance on Mirage as well. But obviously Sprout need to close this out to get there. So we have the 3 Augs and the double op. All scopes across the board for Sprout. And they've been relatively unmovable. I mean, they've had players individually clutching. They've been able to deny a lot of entry frags to Movistar. And I don't want to say Movistar are out of strategies just yet, but depending on Smooth to push through like that and losing the duel against Cressy really doesn't help in this round, though. If obviously got the kill, it would open things up.
Yeah, they just seem to be getting outgunned at the moment. Every time they walk into the site, they're hit with a crossfire. The utility they've thrown hasn't really been going too well, and at the moment, they're just pushing one by one. This is individual play after individual play. They are going to push through the smoke. A risk taken from Shox, and again, it nets 1 kill. Steel really needed to trade that out. A bomb plant will at least give them, again, money for the next round, but as said previously, that doesn't really matter so much anymore. They need to start actually trying to win these. Cressy actually getting up close with the AWP. He's only got 16 HP, but I don't know if this is going to be expected by Steel whatsoever. The no-scope missed, but the full team has come pushing through. There's nothing that Steel could do. The AWP will be retrieved, and it's going to be another round that never really looked like Sprout were breaking a sweat. 8-1 into the lead. Sure, financially, Movistar Riders are not in any real trouble, but who cares?
And for Sprout, it's not like there's one player really massively standing out for the team, right? It's not like we see someone 15 plus frags so far within this game. It's everyone really hitting their shots. Maybe that nuke was mostly just a warm-up for the German squad. As Movistar are definitely being pushed pretty damn hard here. It works so well on nuke with that aggression on the T side out of them, pushing outer time and time again. Not seeming to work too well here as a decent nade comes down to Spitty, playing up close to Personals. They try to push the smoke with no utility and already getting caught out. Now a Molotov thrown down, and Spitty is just laying down dominance on this inner bomb site.
Can we just get to map 3? I feel like we're already well on the way. Like, this isn't even damage being done at this point. They have done 0 damage as they pushed into the take, and the remaining players are sat with 45 HP between them. They're being held by the AWP. They're going to go for the boost to try and check over the top, and it's been spotted. And well, Smooya may have been low, but his head's going to be decapitated nonetheless. If I'm Movistar Riders, I'm taking another pause. They need to at least be looking at 5 rounds over on their T side. Sure, I think Sprout can fall into the same rut sometimes, but this has been so dominant that they need to try and switch things up.
I will say this, though, Tom. This was chosen by Movistar. We saw them have successful games on it before. I'm not saying that Sprout aren't playing amazing, which they are. But I still am not fully convinced this is over just yet. If Movistar come out with like 3, 4, potentially 5 rounds with what's left in this half, I still feel like there's a favorable chance for them. Because we've seen how much momentum they can really take with the games thinking back to Nuke and how strong they can be. But at the same time, Sprout, if they can continue this, going to the T side, just win a couple of rounds, get yourself into map 3, get yourself one step closer to taking home the title. And they really haven't broken a sweat, as we've been talking about. This is looking all too easy for them so far. Seems to be that Movistar, okay. Well.
Trying to play on hard mode.
I don't know why that happens. I don't know why that happens. I know it's like for me, I like to spam reload over and over to make sure my gun's reloaded, but I would never take my knife out and swing it.
Man, it's probably from playing like too much like ESEA or Face It or something where you just don't damage your teammates when you knife. I think people just get used to it. Dennis, well, again, it's another free 1v1 kill, and that's all that's really happening. Just individual battles across the map that... Okay, oh, Cressy got punished. I suppose that's something at least. Smooya will do a little bit of extra damage, but at this stage, I don't think damage is the main issue here for the T side. I would actually like to see them put some extra pressure onto Ivy. Not that Dennis is necessarily the weak link, but more so that I just think it's a position that they could look to capitalize on. 6.25 for Movistar Riders at this point, so I guess the banner is for the people that believe that they can bring that one back. You're not going to make much on putting it on Sprout at this stage. That's all 4 timeouts used. I can respect it. I think it's been necessary. And let's be real, Jason, if this one doesn't work, I guess it doesn't really matter from here onwards because they will be so far behind.
Yeah, it's... You have to wonder how many more rounds does Sprout have to win before Movistar just think, okay, GG next. I mean, just look at the deaths for Sprout. 3 for Faven, 6 for Cressy, 5 for Spitty, 6 for Dennis, 2 for Slacks. It's just that Movistar are not really able to frag. Alex has only had 1 kill. Now, I know he didn't put up massive numbers when it came to Nuke in the first map. But we're not seeing Mopaz, break over 10. We're not seeing Smooya break over 10. We're not seeing Steel, 20 plus kills so far. I mean, obviously not just yet, but it seemed to be ending up that way with this match continuing. Speaking of Steel, he's going to get very aggressive here. Potentially looking to push the smoke to help the flashbang. Cressy as well, pretty much body blocking his opponents. Steel not able to get the kill. Sight still being held onto by Sprout as it looks to get the bomb planted out for Movistar. Tempted out of Alex, getting sprayed down, and Faven will get the kill. The bomb won't go down. With a 4-on-2, it looks like the round, especially with Dennis behind one, looks like it should be over again.
Yeah, the A-site hold looking more solid than ever, and yeah, 11-1. It's sort of hard to even sort of fathom what Movistar Riders can actually do at this stage. Again, I'd still like to see potentially more Ivy presence, a few more aggressive plays into the B site perhaps, but they're getting shut down all over the shop. It doesn't seem to matter what happens in the next few rounds. I think they're just going to be going the way of Sprout. Again, it's just going to be an attempt to explode out onto the site. Steel looking to try and lead by example, win his team around, maybe put some wind back in the sails, but no, it's not going to happen. They're just getting shut down by the same plays over and over again. Easy entries for Sprout. When you're pretty much out of the round with 20 seconds gone, you know that it's just not going too well. But again, it's one of those maps. You're in a rut. Nothing you try is working. Individually, the other side are just putting you down. Opaz, again, is at least going to be able to bring one back, but they've been so good at just rectifying any problems. Every time a player falls, there's always a response from Sprout, and again, the Orcs are just tearing them apart. One by one, they fall. Dennis, currently 17-6. Slacks, 10-2. Having 13-5. It has been dominant across the board.
See, I wonder, Tom, if this is just what happens for Sprout when they start CT side versus T side. Because they chose it against Sinners, right? But they had to start T side then, and it was 16-5. Now, Movistar chooses it for themselves, and Sprout's able to get the CT side, and they're up 12-1. I'm not saying that Sinners are better or worse necessarily than Movistar, but it's been like night and day for them. They're looking way more confident here. They're getting, well, obviously way more rounds than they did last time. And Movistar just doesn't seem to have much of an answer at all. Mopaz able to push in towards the site. But Cressy, it's just going to punish him. Sitting on top of the bomb train. And it's looking like, again, a 13th round for the CT side of Sprout. Smooya looking to have something to say about it. It's him and Shocks together. Able to get themselves 2 kills. So it's down to the 2-on-2. Look at the confidence. Slacks, hello?
What?
Smooya, hello? Oh, Smooya must have been scoped straight down or towards Ivy.
It is weird. I almost feel like for the last, like, maybe 3-4 rounds that Movistar have almost given up. And I know that's probably a bit harsh to say in a grand final, but they have done the same thing again and again. They have just run out A. They've not tried any, like, fake strategies. They've not really thrown too many grenades. They've just run out. They've tried to just fight, almost as if it's like, okay, I've got no more ideas. Let's just do the same thing again. And by the looks of it, they're almost doing it again. Like, another player's just going to run straight out of A main. Like, it's very easy at this point for there to just be a stack on the A site, for everybody just to be expecting these early plays to have utility put down, because they've not tried anything new. They haven't changed a single thing. And Sprout are going to win the half 14-1. They lose their map choice, and they come straight back with one of the most dominant halves we've seen in the entirety of this tournament.
So it looks like Sprout might do to Movistar Riders what Movistar
Where's the
Riders
odds?
did to Budapest 5. Yeah. Fair match. You guys get your bonus if you guys click on the banner below. No odds coming through this time, but I also would have shown the odds this time because it's 14-1.
972.
Jeez. I would put $1 in or a euro in specifically for that and put it on Movistar for that chance. But it all starts here. Movistar take the pistol. Maybe there's a chance to come back. Sprout, you take the pistol. Should be a done deal map, and we should be going over to Mirage with things tied up.
Like
with
I
one
still
apiece.
said should. Yeah, do you think you're that powerful, Jason? Do you think your commentator curse is that powerful that you feel the need that if they go 15-1, you're like, oh, they should do it this way?
I'm just covering all angles, you know? I'm not confident. I don't want to be that guy.
You're like hanging off the edge of the fence rather than sat on it.
Well, if I did sit on it, I would truly be sitting on it because my legs would be touching the ground probably.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It would need to be a damn big fence to get your feet off the floor.
For you guys who don't know, I'm pretty tall.
Yeah, he's
I'm
7'3".
above average height. Oh, this is not looking good. The tease just jump straight down lower. Still can't connect the shot. Though Smooya, he's able to get himself a quick double. Bomb should be planted. And now it's coming down to the 4-on-3 retake. You can see Mopa's trying to push up the side. Smooya just taking it directly to them on top of the bomb train as high as he possibly can. And it seems like they've been able to overwhelm the T side. Bomb going to be stuck. Biddy trying to come through with the P250, but there's so many angles for him to deal with that this will be Movistar taking the pistol round. So the comeback. Not going to say it's on just yet. But at least it has a start. At least Movistar have a chance.
Muya stopped defusing. That means he didn't trust his teammates. Just saying. Luckily, there was a long time on, so that's fair enough. But yeah, the only one really doing too much as well, it has to be added. Like, everybody else is still within single digits after 16 rounds. A real struggle. Alex only on 3 kills. It's been a very, very rough game for the Movistar Riders, but they're given an opportunity. I'm actually surprised. So Sprout have so many rounds, they're not even deciding to force here. And that's a common practice when you get the bomb plant. So they've just decided, you know what, we don't even need to try and break their economy here. Let's just do a bit of damage with the Deagles. We come in with a buy in the next round and just look to close it out from there. So likelihood is it's not going to be quite as bad as the 16-2, but I'm not going to be talking about any sort of comeback until I see at least like 11 rounds on the board for Movistar Riders.
Not a believer, Tom.
Nope.
Gotta take chances in life sometimes, you know? Gotta go skydiving. Gotta bet on a team coming back 14-2.
I don't really like the idea of like jumping out of a plane, and just as much don't like the idea of putting any of my not so hard earned cash on a team that is far down.
I'll tell you, I've been skydiving once, and it was scary because the guy
Do
I was
they have a
attached to-
parachute that big? Like,
Well,
how did they?
I wasn't concerned with the parachute. I was concerned with the guy I was strapped onto.
You jumped out of the plane and you were already touching the ground.
Well, not that far, but the guy was about half my height, so trying to stand up in the plane to get to the edge to jump out was very difficult.
I just rather than like him being strapped to you, it almost looked like you were just wearing a backpack.
Pretty much.
Well, let's see if they could at least quell the first buy of Sprout. We did see them have a pretty poor T-side the other day. This would have to be atrocious for them to not be able to close this out. And I think even just momentum alone should be enough for Sprout here. Shock's going to do some early damage, though. Faven onto just 9 HP. And Steel's still more than happy to get aggressive in these sort of circumstances. Smooya also has already got an AWP. But to be honest, at this stage, it's not like they're going to be saving cash for a bonus round or anything like that. The rainy day has come. It is not the greatest of weather in the Movistar camp. Actually, Shocks not quite giving up pop just yet. The silent stem 4 maybe not ideal for those closer range circumstances, but he's done well with it so far. However, it does seem, Jason, like it might be Mopaz to come under some pressure.
Yeah, and the backup
throw
for
it.
him.
Throw it. He's going to kill Favored. Throw it. Throw it. Yeah.
Tom sounding like a proud mother there.
What a Mopaz. Proud of you.
Well, he's pretty much or he was by himself. So I was trying to say that we could have the rush come through when he has no support. But now he will have Smooya there with the AWP. They're going to push down. Flashbang to help assist this one. Mopaz as well with the flash to counter this. He gets the first second with the FAMAS, and he will fall. But the damage has been done. Spitty trying to peek out a little bit wide on top of the bomb train with the bomb will fall. And now Slack's by himself against 4. Gonna get the first, but Smooya again being as consistent as ever. And even though the score only is 14-4, as you pointed out, Smooya 18 kills. I thought you were totally kidding earlier when you're saying him tweeting out, you know, we lost the game because of me. I only dropped 27 kills. I thought you were totally BSing. But right now, 18 kills and they're down 14-4. That's very possible.
For them to win, he's going to need 50. He's going to have to break some sort of like regulation record for that to be possible. Then again, I'm pretty sure we did commentate Crim's losing and breaking the record. So, you know, always time for a second chance. It does feel like it's just a matter of time, though. Like, it may sound like we're being, or at least me in particular, being a bit of a negative Nelly, but I can't see this happening. Like, it would just have to be a ridiculous streak of rounds, and again, like, we'd have to be looking at Sprout at this stage and just going, okay, like, how have you not managed to just get the last couple of rounds that you need? Only pistols in this round, at least, so a chance for some stat padding. Alex will gain a couple, and it seems to still be going fairly well for Smooya. The whole team at least picking up the pace a little bit, as Faven now the only one left alive. A bit of damage would be nice, but in all honesty, at this stage, they win a couple of rounds, it's not going to reset the economy, it's going to reset us to the next map. So the chance of causing enough cost that it will make a difference is pretty slim.
You know, the one argument I'll have about the negative Nancy thing, I don't think you're being negative Nancy. I think you have every reason to say that Sprout still should be able to take this. The only thing I could think of in my mind is on T side for Movistar, because the argument we're going to make for Sprout, if I roll it back a little bit, is all they need to do is just like rush and somehow win the round twice, right? But at the same rate, Movistar only had one round T side when they were on this map, so maybe you could expect the same thing out of them. I mean, if Movistar keep this up, there's still definitely a possibility to come back, but I would still want to see, you know, 14-10 on the scoreboard before I start to fully believe Movistar can, for sure, bring this back. Obviously, the confidence is building, especially for Smooth, who's about to hit 20 kills. But it's still going to take a hell of a lot of rounds before we can start to believe in Movistar.
Well, that's probably not the start they were looking for either. Not sure how that kill wasn't through smoke. Counter-Strike, come on, pick that one up. There was a straight spam through. Alex hiding within a smoke, but this time it will fade. Flashbang goes through, but he's patient enough to catch off Cressy. So the early stages of this round looking good for Sprout have quickly dwindled. Blacks will at least bring one back. Smooya's still styling. Up to his 21st kill. In fact, he's now the top fragger in the server. There's a little bit of a joke. He will eventually fall, and of course, a 1v2 for Spitty is not out of the realms of possibility. He isolates Alex and now is waiting for Mopos. Has the right idea as well. Expecting Pop be the place his opponent comes from. The problem is the bomb position is arguably the worst, but the push through the smoke from Mopos, he wasn't expecting Spitty to still be waiting. And while any hope that they might have had on the Movistar Riders side is gone. A 1v3 lost, a tactical pause taken for Sprout, knowing that, well, maybe just let them stew a little bit in what has just happened.
That's what we're saying, right? All it takes is that one individual play, that one potential rush to win you around, to almost end this map and take us over to a third. And Spitty pulling off a 1v3 is exactly what Sprout needed. It's kind of a shame, too, because of how well Smoothie is playing, but you can't really carry these games by yourself. As the timeout fades, potentially the map going to be fading here into a break if Sprout can just take that one more round. Alex on the op. Actually, we have a double op coming in from Movistar in this round. And the op save out of Spitty, thrown over to Slacks.
Okay. Okay, Steel. Flashbang in. It's perfect from Shox, but he is only going to get the one. Spitty responds, but at a cost of 88 of his HP. Probably going to slow down a little bit from this stage onwards, although there is still an aggressive position from Mopaz, just trying to shoulder peek to spot anybody coming down. We'll see Slacks just as he swings, so any utility just used to try and deny them that early space. Although I don't think Sprout are really going to mind too much. I doubt they were planning any sort of execution anytime soon. They're actually going to drop an extra smoke of their own, which hits Mopaz. A bit of a sound cue surprise. But the early rotation has come in from the CTs. They placed the second player. They have another in pop in case there's a double back from Sprout. And then, of course, Alex sat back waiting and watching to try and cover the rest of A.
Gavin's trying to distract with the up and down ladder play. The problem was Shox wasn't looking, and it's going to punish him for this. But now Alex, can he hit the shots they need? Incendiary comes through, but the wrong time to throw it. The T's pushed past it. Luckily, Smooth's going to be here. It's going to be smoked off, flashed off, and Alex, who's back towards Ivy, is still going to be looking for that kill. Down to the 3-on-3. Mopaz gets the 1. Spitty gets the instant headshot back onto him. So still down to the 2-on-2, but Smooth can't hit the shot. And now it's all on Alex to save this with the AWP in hand. What a flick onto Spitty, but he's got to find Cressy. You have to imagine this should be easy for the German. And there it is, 16-5. As Cressy's going to close that one out. And Sprout do indeed take their opponent's map choice and take us over to a third and final map here in our grand finals over on Mirage. You called it earlier on, Tom. You said we were going to see, you know, a very good chance of 3 maps. You had it pinned down to like a 50%. You didn't know who necessarily would come out on top in the series. And as we move over to Mirage, we've seen dominant performances out of both teams. So I don't know which way this is going to go.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things with Sprout. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the CT side. Maybe it's just that they need a map to warm up. But
maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe. Who knows? But either way, they just seem to come back so much stronger in that second map. And it's one that's actually very difficult to analyze because I feel like for the majority of the map, all we really watched was Movistar Riders just running the same strat again, running into a brick wall and just trying to see if they could make something work, and it never really happened for them. So they'll move on to the third. I expect the third map to be that little bit closer. I think we don't really see that many super dominant matches of Mirage. It is normally that third and final map, which could go either way. But of course, Jason, first things first, we do have to head ourselves off to a break.
We'll head to that. We'll come back here with our final map in our grand finals at the European Development Championship Season 2. We'll see you guys soon.
Headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates. Headshot. Nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates. Very much. They play, you win.
It's all come down to this now between these two teams. We head on over to Mirage for the European Development Championship, brought to you by Gaming Malta, your home for gaming excellence. I'm Jason Kappen, joined by Tom Biz, and I can't wait to see who's going to take this home. Is it going to be Sprout? Is it going to be Movistar Riders? But one thing I can tell you, within the next hour, depending on overtimes, we should have a victor here and a champion.
And then the next day, we're gonna know.
Pretty much,
who
who
the
knows how many
victor is.
overtimes it's going to be.
Well, let's be real. At this stage, we have absolutely no idea who's going to be taking this one. Both teams have fairly comfortably taken each other's map choice. Sprout on the last one didn't even really seem to give Movistar Riders a chance. So it really just comes down to who's going to be finding the right strats, the holes in the defense, whether or not we've got everybody performing. Because let's be real, in that last map, there was really only one performer on the entirety of Movistar Riders. And well, Smooya couldn't quite do enough to actually get them over the line. He's also just tweeted that he thinks he's one of the worst Mirage players in recent months. So that's a very good sign for them coming up. I think it's like sarcastic. Basically, he tweeted about how, oh, you know, the third map winner becomes a champion. Vanity tweeted, oh, Smooya on Mirage, and then was like, oh, I'm looking forward to it. And he goes, actually, one of the worst players in recent months. So,
You know, Tom,
always good to have belief in yourself.
After casting with you as many times as we have these last few years and working with a lot of other British people, I didn't know Brits could be sarcastic.
No, me neither. Not at all. So Smooya's going to get 4 kills in this map. And
Oh, God.
yeah,
If that
Sprout
happens,
is still going to
Tom,
win.
If that happens, I'm like tweeting this clip to Smooya. And you're getting no more curly whirlies, I'll tell you that. But we should be heading into it momentarily.
Didn't know he had
Obviously,
the supply.
He's got the fridge full of curly whirlies. But we're gonna find out momentarily. Obviously, we're about to hop into this one. It's been quite a few weeks in the works. So obviously, a lot of talent as well working on this. All brought to you by Fantasy Expo, doing a phenomenal job with the production. And we can see our pair match odds, and you know it can't really get much closer than that.
Yeah, I guess they could do it dead even, but that wouldn't be the most exciting odds in the world if both you had the exact same chance of winning with either. Of course, this is the map statistic, but at the same time, that will decide who's going to be the champion of the entire tournament. I don't know if they would have done odds for that, actually. That might be something interesting if you could bet on who you thought would win at the beginning. I doubt many people would have predicted Sinners to get all the way to the semi-finals, of course, being eliminated just yesterday. But yeah, it's been an exciting tournament for sure. And it's going to come down to this. And as said, I think it's fitting that it's very difficult to tell which way this is going to go. Like, we've had recent results coming out from both teams. In fact, it's not a map that, with Smooya at least, we've seen Movistar Riders really play very much. Just a couple of games, I believe. And that's with them playing up against Namiga just recently. And then also, which was the other one? I think they played against Maestro, which they managed to win quite dominantly, but I don't really know too much about the Belgium team. And on the other side of it, again, it's not really a map that we see much from Sprout playing against Sinners in the match that we witnessed just yesterday, and then Anonimo. So again, like, they played it definitely more, but even had some losses against some teams like Gamer Legion, who they probably should have beaten, Fours when they were like consistently changing around their roster, and then a few back and forth matches with alternate attacks. So I don't think either of the teams are like having this as one of their top maps within the pool, but I guess that's why we've ended on a third and final map. It's going to be that middle ground.
But we have seen some great individual performances when it's come to Mirage for both these two teams across these last few days within our playoffs. Thinking back to Favin, the basically 2v5 ace clutch he pulled off to win the game for them just yesterday. Thinking back to Alex and his control in middle and how aggressive he can be on that CT side, which he hasn't had the best performance so far today. Thinking back to Mopaz as well, I think he dropped like 25 odd frags when we saw them play Mirage on this not too long ago. And then Smooya, who's been on pretty good pace. He was good on Nuke. He was good on Train. No matter what he says on Twitter about Mirage, I feel like if he maintains anywhere near that pace he's had before, he can also be a massive part to how this series is going to go. So it obviously all comes down to this when we do hop straight into the server. I still want to see more of the Slack Smooya battle, to be honest. I feel like we haven't had that happen really much at all, to be fair. I know we did get to see Slacks on CT side pick it up, but let's be honest, was that really even a fair match with how things went with 14-1 in the first half? So it's going to be a really interesting battle, and I think a really fitting way, as you said, to end off our entire tournament.
It's funny. I did actually have a little bit of a look at the stats, and I think most cases, Smooya is still averaging about 20 kills on this map. So I wouldn't say that there's really any truth in those words, just a bit of a meme for Twitter, of course. And we'll see if we're going to get the performance out of the Star Brit and basically bring home a trophy for the Movistar Riders. Either way, Sprout are going to do everything they can to stop them. And they start out on the T side. An aggressive take into middle. They've got the smokes down as well to give them a little bit of extra ground. But it is going to be Shocks to actually start things off. We saw some crazy clutches from him. But this is going to be a tough hold in this corner, hoping to at least get one more kill before he's eventually put down. And while there's some damage done, I like this spot from Dennis, but he actually gets caught off from Smooya, who denies any further presence onto short. The nade will also land directly onto Slacks. But even still, with CT control, this is not going to be an easy take back from Movistar.
Yeah, all coming from the same angle, fighting a team all on the same angle, but Slacks, the timing on that peak was perfect. And now Favin there to help assist as well, gets the kill back onto Alex, and the finisher onto Smooya. And what a start here for Sprout. Favin getting 2 kills, Slacks getting 2, Cressy getting the 1. More importantly, taking the pistol round. But I still will say this, Tom, can they win the follow-up round?
Yeah, they've done better today, at least in this series, although they did lose the third round in the first map. But they have been able to convert in pretty much every single one. I will say that Mirage is one of the maps where I feel like you can get away with a lot more with the pistols. There's a lot of favorable angles that you can take on this map and a lot of opportunities for aggression. And we could already witness that coming through from Steel. He might be a little bit of a snake in the grass. However, Mopaz already going to fall. Alex still lurking around the edge of the connector. But they're losing a lot of map control and response. And Steel going down leaves a lot of this onto Smooya on the site. Alex will at least take one, but the lone Brit is going to be left trying to defend. First kill will go his way, and he doesn't actually take much damage in response. But this needs to be some pretty tasty 1-digs if he's going to have a chance of surviving. And unfortunately for him, now going to be left on to just Alex.
Yeah, a little bit too tough to ask for with the amount of rifles he's up against. Sprout will get the relatively clean second round with 3 players surviving, keeping the 1 AK and the 2 Galils into the next round. For Movistar Riders, yeah, money's not really there. Maybe a pistol or 2. Maybe a stack just to throw it into one side to potentially catch them off guard. It looks like we're going to have another quick technical pause. I know Sprout have been having some issues with their internet, so hopefully everything should be sorted and good to go, especially considering we're into the final map of our grand finals. Be one of the worst times to lag out.
Yeah, that's for sure. You definitely don't want to have any internet drops in this sort of state. I can't remember, which game was it where we saw a player like drop out in a clutch situation?
That was
that
on
for
Dust
Sinners
2, and I think that was Shock.
I think you might be right. That was the worst one. That was really painful. We just ended up walking into the wall on tunnels, and it really was one of those situations where you kind of just think, who knows what could have happened if you managed to stay in. But it's not going to be the case this time. And while not really much invested at all, so it looks like Sprout, one of the things we sort of criticized in the matches previously was their inability to convert rounds. And this time, they're doing a very good job of it.
Hearing some decent damage being done. Slacks and Spitty low, but just no kills. And Dennis maybe looking to push stairs here as he hears the amount of shots rattling off in this direction. And finally the CTs are able to get the 1 kill, but it should be 1 and done as Dennis closes things out against Steel. Clean first 3 rounds for Sprout. Really continuing the domination they had in the last map. Remember, it was 16-5. It finished off 14-1 in the first half with Sprout on the CT side. Really showing no signs of stopping. It's great to see them carry this momentum over from that last match. Dennis on 5 kills already, which, as you pointed out, with him on the T side having a good game, that's already an amazing sign for the German squad.
It is annoying that he has such nice gloves and then that disgusting knife.
Well, if he heads over to Hellcase, maybe he can get up.
Yeah.
For it.
Maybe he can get a nice matching yellow one. That would be good. Quick push him from Spitty, though. And that's exactly what they were looking for. Steel with a quick response, but at the same time, a 3-on-3 after using an SMG is almost a sacrificial lamb. They're not going to be too unhappy with that. Nade thrown in, but there is still a few grenades left for the retake. Not any baited out because of how quickly the push actually came in. But it leaves a bit of an awkward spot now for Sprout, not really knowing how far forward some of these players have actually managed to get. They're going to go peeking, and Shox is more than prepared for any sort of face. Favin, however, has managed to find a trade, but again, his patience pays off, and he just kills off all 3 people. Good retake from Movistar Riders, but a costly one at that. And considering how clean the last few have been, Sprout, I don't think they're going to feel too hard done by.
A little close on the time there for the defuse, but it still gets pulled off. I wonder if we're going to see the op now come in for Slacks, considering they have a lot of money to spend. And well, our odds were only separated by pair match by 0.05 before the map started. And now they're swinging in favor of Sprout, but to be expected with how clean these rounds have been. No op. Actually, there is an op coming in for Smooya. Sorry. He's going to pick this one up. And I'm looking forward to that battle in the middle, to be honest. We saw how impactful Smooya was. He's going to miss the jump, unfortunately. And Slack's going to spot it out and get the kill. Smooya, he's going to miss his shot. And with that kill alone, Slax has to feel good. Not so great, missing these next 2 follow-up shots.
Seems like Sprout have done a good job to quell any and all aggression. I do think that might be one of the reasons why Mio seems to find this map maybe a little bit tougher than others. I feel like a lot of the obvious AWPing spots, especially into mid, are fairly easy to counter. Like peeking anywhere near the window, I almost feel like you have to just be almost feeling it. Like you have to be hitting every single shot that comes your way to play that angle. Even if you're doing it in like a matchmaking game, you need to be ballsy to try and take those plays. Well, yeah, definitely is one of those players. I won't take that away from him. Dennis is just causing havoc. He may go down here. Oh, no, he won't. He's baited Steel into the peak. How's he got away with this much? An extra couple of kills for him, and sure, Favin goes down, but it's left into basically a 4v1, mainly because Mopos is probably not going to have much of a part in this round. The smoke goes through. Shox, that didn't even look like it should have connected onto anyone, so maybe he can deny them, but the peek out into the arms of Slacks leaves Mopos to try and pull this back. A 1v3 turn 2 seems unlikely, especially with Slacks' current positioning.
3 kills for Slacks. It all started with the kill on the Smooya and Movistar. Money's not going to be there. A rough start here for the mixed squad of Movistar. And Sprout looking as confident as ever. Again, the money, it's not great out of them for a 4-1 scoreline. But having 4-1 is definitely a good start. And to be careful against the pistols, we saw what happened on Nuke. Smooth takes a very aggressive position in towards Underground. Spitty, I mean, they're technically not watching this just yet. But also not really expecting Smooth to just swing around this corner, look for the kill. But they're going to walk directly in towards his sights. Flashbang as well, perfectly timed. Smooya will fall.
And the only issue I really have with that is I'm almost certain that in the last round they had like this with pistols, Steel did exactly the same thing. So the fact they caught Steel last time, they're definitely going to expect it again. Not that it's the most reinvented play anyway, so I suppose if you're looking at it harshly, Sprout should always expect somebody to be there, but they're definitely going to if somebody's already attempted it. Now, the stack mainly heading into the B site. 3 players currently waiting. You know, Smooya was in underpass as well, so they had information that at least a couple of players were there. This leaves Shox with a position where if he even gets a kill here, I think he's done well, because this should be impossible.
Well, just waiting for the time to tick away before Sprout goes for the execute. And yeah, I mean, Shox, he'd have to go massive. And I don't really think it's in the cards here with him being completely smoked off now. Maybe push through it to look for that kill or two if he can pull it off. But with his teammates not even rotating to help in, who's just trying to save, and he's not going to even get a single shot routed off here against the Saddest Sprout. And we are going to see the 5-1 lead. Movistar can't do anything about this, and yeah, might as well just save the Deagle. Might as well just save the CZ. But at what point, Tom, do you start to get worried for Movistar?
I think even if it's like 7-1, I think that's the point where it's like, okay, you've now had a few buys on the board, like you've had the loss bonus for a while. Like it starts to get to the point where it's like, okay, it's not even just like weaponry or economy or anything of the sort. It just means that they're outclassing you at that stage. And no surprise to see Movistar trying to get some exits here. I think if they have Kevlar, maybe they do just stick to the full save because there's something to benefit in the next round. But keeping a Deagle doesn't help you. You're going into a full buy round. Unless maybe if Mopos is planning on AWPing, he could have it as a secondary. But even that, I feel, is a bit of a push. So 5-1. Again, Sprout off to a fantastic start. And I think we're seeing the other side of the coin. Like, one of the main issues they had versus Sinners is they never got any good starts. Well, in pretty much every map we've seen versus Movistar Riders, they've been able to start strong. And, well, that's left the European squad with a bit of a tough task against them. Now, the money is already looking pretty good. Movistar Riders have taken themselves a pause. The AWP will be back into the hands of Smooya, although he may have to still drop a rifle over to Alex to make sure that they do at least have everything they can in this round. But this is where I want to see a response. Like, even if it's like a close round where there's only like a player or two surviving for Sprout, that would at least give me something, because so far it is starting to feel like Train again, where it doesn't seem like Sprout can do much wrong.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't want the grand finals to end up that way. I don't want to see Sprout be dominating this map and to close out the series and the whole tournament. I want to see Movistar fight back. It's just obviously about them if they can do that. I mean, Smooya so far hasn't necessarily been too effective. Hasn't had the chance to be too effective, to be fair. The one round he had the op before, he jumps down middle and misses the jump up towards short, and then Slacks punishes him for it. This round could be over towards Ticket Booth watching the A site, which at the moment, we're not even seeing anyone go in that direction. So with Mopaz being left alone with Steel falling early on, I think they're really banking on the fact that Mopaz can kind of just hold his own. No information really being gathered out of the CT side either to see where this hit's going to come. And I think that's why Sprouter are sitting back hoping for that aggression.
Oh, I like that Molotov, though. They're going to use it to try and force Dennis into the hands of Alex. That was very well played. Like, they knew he was around that angle. Like, again, like, the one thing I'll say about Dennis is when he's playing in form, he's really annoying to play against. We've seen multiple rounds already where he's just taken a ridiculous amount of space, and the team just seemed to play around that. They set him up for the initial kill on short, but as said, the counter for Movistar was strong. And now I'm a little bit worried about the time. In some of the poorer games we've seen from Sprout, it's where the clock ticks down, but with a fairly late take in towards the B side, they've thrown out counter utility, and you can see the CTs are trying to play through it, play around it. This could work perfectly. Look at the position of Mopaz. They've almost traded places, and he could peek out behind them, and they still seem to have absolutely no idea where they just got killed from. He's still within the smoke. They have to try and go for this safer plant. The spam through the box isn't going to deny it, but does at least do a fair amount of damage, and there is nothing that Slacks can do here. That was excellently played after losing that first player for Movistar to get themselves back into the round.
And bouncing back into the round is what they're going to need. Following these rounds tooth and nail. I mean, they survive with 3, but it comes down to, again, Mopaz. Comes down to an individual player. We talked at the start of the series about Mopaz and Alex being ones that can rise up to join the likes of Smooya. With how Train went, with how this map has already gone so far, they're going to need to continue to see them step up as they're on 5 and 4 kills apiece. And considering Mopaz was kind of left his own devices at the B site, doing a fairly good job. Remember, Steel died very early in that last round. And speaking of dying very early, we see a big push out towards the middle, which Alex gets the first. And Favin's going to fall to the martyrdom from Alex. Actually, no, Alex is still up, so he gets the kill with the nade anyways. And this sort of starts to really put the pressure on. This is where the comeback can really come into effect, right? Because Sprout have not that much money. Neither do Movistar, however.
Bomb plant would be enough for Sprout, whereas on the side of Movistar, they probably need to save if they lost too many more players, but they're in a commanding position here. Seems like Sprout are almost reliant on Cressy finding something as the remaining 2 players still look to lurk around mid. Smoke will give them a little bit of connector control, but more importantly, it moves the positions of some of these players, and I think it could be a problem. Smooya, though, he's got the support from Shox to make sure he didn't go down. There was a world where I see Cressy swing and managed to find that kill, and instead Smooya's just started to destroy them as they try and attempt a push into this A site. Cressy, 17 HP, and you mentioned finances. He's got some money to spare, so an AK saved would be far more valuable for his side. Question is, are Movistar going to let him, or are they even going to bother hunting here? You mentioned they themselves are financially in an awkward spot, but this round at least, good to see Smooya step back up to the plate, and maybe a slightly more passive stance on that A site is exactly what they need.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're kind of realizing at the moment for Movistar with Sprout kind of playing this well, is that they're going to need pretty much everyone hitting their shots. At least Cressy's going to be able to save the AK into the next round. I mean, they got Dennis on 5100. I wouldn't expect to see an AWP come into play here. And this is also what I want to see out of Smooya as we see him coming back to life and 2 kills in the last round. I want to see him playing from some different angles. Like, we've seen Alex pushing connector before. This time we see him like towards short for the kill and the nade. But I want to see similar to like Inferno or Overpass, is allow Smooya that freedom to rotate around. And we talked about that with Smooya and Overpass in particular yesterday. Obviously, slotting him into the team is very difficult, but being able to play around the positions he wants to hold is even harder than that.
Oh, a tactical timeout taken. See the odds again. No surprise to see them in favor of Sprout at the moment, but they are definitely coming back. I'm sure they were much higher just moments ago at 5-1 down. Still, the deposit down below. Use the banner and you'll get a bit of a bonus there. But there is going to be a purchase here from Sprout. Maybe a decision of economy to talk things over. Spiddy is sort of a regular thing for him to drop down to a Deagle. Make sure there's some economy to spare going into future rounds. But this is one that Movistar need. Their economy's still not safe, and this will be a way to get themselves right back to level pegging, start to build things up over on the CT side. For now, Sprout taking things nice and slow. This is something, as said, it's a big part of their game plan. The change of pace is something I quite like. As said, like we've seen over a few rounds now, Dennis just almost blast his way through middle, but instead, patiently waiting. Even still, though, Cressy does not manage to win that duel versus Shox. That looked like he should have had him dead to rights, and instead, now falls a little bit flat, and Shox is actually sticking around. Maybe a bit of a surprise, because it looks like Spiddy could just be waiting for the aggression, but I feel like they're going to want to try and reclaim that, and more importantly, the gun.
Insane aggression. Smooya was holding the angle before and Palace with the op. Shock's going to spot them out. That's a lot of damage being done from one shot. Will escape, though, and with the smoke being thrown in, it's a delay for some even more time, and that's something that Sprout doesn't have much really going in their way. 35 seconds left to go, a 2-player split towards the B site. Bomb rotating through T-spawn. I would imagine it's going to be a hit in towards B, where Steel and Mopaz are waiting, and Mopaz has the AWP to use. 20 seconds, Sprout. You have to pick up the pace here, hope for some very early kills, as we've seen this smoke before. We've seen Mopaz play around it. This time, Steel not going to be going for that route. He's actually going to sit back inside the site. Mopaz going to push in through kitchen, and here comes the push. 8 seconds left to go. Steel's not seen. 6 seconds. Bomb's now down, and that should be the round. All done. Robin get 1 kill. Get a second as well. I didn't expect him to pull off the second shot, and now he has to be careful to not die after time.
Oh dear, oh dear. Those extra couple of kills that Faven got, it's not going to quell the void in his pocket of falling after time. Only $600 available, and it leaves them in a bit of an awkward spot. Luckily, well, I guess luckily for Sprout, they've lost 3 rounds in a row, so the loss bonus is actually not going to be too bad. So if they were to get a bomb plant here, that would actually be enough for Faven to buy into the next round. And even if not, we know that Spiddy's likely to take the hit for Faven and potentially just go for a Deagle in the next round. So not the worst case scenario, but it is good to see Movistar starting to come back into this one. As said, like if it had just gone to like 7-1 down, we might have been calling this done before it really got started. Now, the jump spot always has its risk. Mopaw's a slightly off angle to do it. You do normally do it on the right side of the wall and have that deeper peak. Speaking of a deeper peak, Alex already spotting into the underpass, so I might be able to find something very early in this round. Never mind. Dennis's reaction speed still seems to be up there with the best. The head taken off. And now the run boost going to come through. They could look to try and make this one costly. And if they miss the second player pushing, never mind. However, Faven, again, picks off another. This is starting to get dangerous. Mopaz will keep it at least in their favor. But with Smooya low, they do have to be a little bit careful.
Bomb's still stuck, though. At least this attention out of Spitty's forcing two players to head back towards the B site. Maybe have an opening for Cressy to get on towards A. With that kill coming through into Shocks, he might be able to get the bomb down. And there's a very real possibility he could pull this off 1v2. But switching to the AWP, I'm not so sure about that. Good smoke to come in as well to allow him to cross back over. We'll pick the AK back up. But we can see the CT is very, very split here. Smooth coming in from Connector. Mopaz from CT. Cressy has the opportunity to pull off 2 1v1s. He's made no sound. They have no idea he's been able to sneak his way in towards jungle.
Yeah, the problem is the bomb's not planted for him. So I don't actually know what the plan is here. The second he makes a sound, that Smooya going to realize, and, well, no head armor, so that P250 is as deadly as ever. I like the idea of the reposition, but I would have almost liked him to try and play that from jungle, or maybe even gone back into CT and try to wrap back around, because, as said, like, he would have had to kill Smooya, which was going to be hard enough as it is, but by that point, he would have had to kill the player through the box, which is possible, but I feel like that's a pretty hefty gamble to take.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still a costly round for Movistar, right? It's 5 with only 2 players. And money's still not looking great, though. Smooya on 7,100. Nice little smoke in to allow them to push through, and, well, Steel's left to his own devices. That smoke, there was no support for him. He was left to himself, and what does he see? He's taken down right away.
Yeah, that definitely was not the plan.
Yeah,
I
really
highly doubt
confused.
that Steel walks up mid backwards. I either assumed that the second player was meant to come out with him, or they were really hoping that Sprout didn't throw any smokes, which they had been changing the smokes they were throwing. We did see a fast, short push using a different set of smokes, so maybe they were gambling off that. Either that or Smooya just got flashed out of Connector, and that might have been the difference maker. Either way, good utility usage from Sprout, and it's netted them a first kill. Now, they're still going to be waiting at the top of mid. A bit of a surprise factor might be in here. Alex trying to spot the other players around this angle, but they're just waiting. I think it's unusual for 3 players to not peek at all. And for that matter, you see an almost straight up rotation from Movistar Riders going, okay, well, we haven't seen anybody at the top of mid anymore, so maybe they've given up that control.
A little bit of a one-way smoke here for Alex. You're definitely right. Again, Mopaz left to himself, and with an AWP, not the most ideal weapon to have. But then looking to push up towards short, and no aggression out of Dennis and towards apartments. He might have the opportunity to get a kill and back away. So I don't know how far he can actually escape from this one. Alex going to catch out Spitty pushing through the smoke as the push comes in towards short, and Mopaz again. He unfortunately can't get much of anything done. Smooya, though, with the peek around the corner out of kitchen, gets the first. But one and done, and if you're Movistar, is there potential to save?
Yeah, I think it's the only real decision here. After plant, no real utility to get themselves back into the round, and with the economy in the way it is, again, like they can probably squeeze out a buy in the next round. In fact, Smooya having the 7,200 he does probably makes it possible, but yeah, it's not worth risking it. Not far enough down that you're out of the game if you lose this, and also not far enough up with the amount of cash you'd need to throw it away. So good round from Sprout. I do like how they're just able to sort of take those aggressive peaks in the early stages of the round and then just play off of it. And I feel like that's the main thing for Sprout. If they get a man advantage, I'm normally pretty confident that they're going to close out the round, which I can't like back this stat up, but I would like to see what their like 5v4 percentage win is, because I reckon it's pretty high. Of course, you can also check Hellcase out in the banner down below the stream, and that will give you a refill bonus, but also 70 cents if you're a new user on sign up. And Movistar Riders, I don't mind this, taking a pause, gives them a bit of a chance to make sure that they balance out the economy correctly, because even though this is sort of near the top level of Counter-Strike, you do still see mistakes made, like players ending up without a gun or dropping too many or pistols being missed. And also considering it's at a crunch time in the half. They lose this round, you could be seeing an easy half victory for Sprout, maybe going upwards of 9 rounds. They win this round, and they could be taking the half themselves. So very important that they get this one over the line.
I wonder if we're going to see aggression at Movistar again in middle. I think Steel kind of regretting the last round with how it worked out. I'm not necessarily regretting, but as we said, it didn't really work out as expected. Nox going to go for the push in towards middle, it seems. Does have some assistance from Connector, but again, another round goes by. And Movistar get aggressive middle, and another round goes by that they lose a man early on. Talking about that potential lead at the end of this round in the half for one of these teams. Sprout definitely getting one step closer for it. And if they do go for the execute towards A, look at what are there to defend with. I believe there's 2 players. It's going to be Alex, and I think he's... Oh, he's just... Wait, is it just Alex? Okay, so there's 2 on short actually boosting up over the box. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's just on Alex. The execute most certainly going to be coming in here. Maybe they really shouldn't have an angle either. And they're leaving, I believe that is Spitty, just to watch for any pushes in towards B apartments. Then she can go through underpass as well to catch anyone trying to go towards connectors. So a really important spot for Spitty. But he's going to... Actually, sorry, it's Dennis. My bad.
Well, that kill makes all the difference. I'm not sure whether or not Alex would have given up this site so willingly if his teammate hadn't found that extra kill. But now in a 4v4 retake, this is very much viable. Now, they're going to go through and pretty much clear out every angle in mid just to make sure that there isn't going to be anybody flanking. And in fact, the fact that there isn't anybody rotating through back into middle makes this a fairly poor after plant position. They basically just got to hold back towards the ramp, which can be very difficult to do. Already, the first player cleared out. There's a man on the defusal. They need to start spamming, and it's just not happening. Finally, we are going to see the drop, but it's too little too late. It's already been defused. I don't like that after plant from Sprout. I have to admit, I think that was too reliant on Dennis's flank, and almost like there wasn't a secondary plan once he was dead.
Credit to Movistar, though. It was 4-on-5. They lost a player shocked so early in the round, and they still clutched it out in the very few seconds. You see Sprout now. The money's pretty much gone. Dwindled away. No aggression this time, really, out of Movistar, except Smooya trying to go for the shot from short. And with the smoke there, he might have the angle. Yeah, he'll take down Spitty. So finally, Movistar get a man advantage. But the problem is they've left a completely open Dennis, just like on Nuke, penetrating the defenses from Movistar. But will they expect Shocks to be inside Palace? I have to assume they know there's going to be a player there. Cressy trying to stick the bomb, and there it is. Falvin covering that one off. Well played by Sprout to cover each other's angles, and it's down now to the 3-on-3.
A different plant position this time, but similarly, going to be stuck into the site. In fact, Cressy almost has to stay alive here because a loss of life of him could give them a way onto the bomb. The thing is, though, no one coming from CT actually makes this one relatively difficult, and Steel, he had Palace. That's the perfect spot to go for that retake, and the remaining players realize, well, without him, without the time, we have to just fall back. So a similar position for Movistar, having to try and retake that A site, and well, it isn't going to be working out. I also have to admit, I think that Movistar have a lot more success when they don't fight into mid. I can't think of a round where they have successfully won the battle in mid. I think every single time they've gone a man down.
I'm even trying to think back to the last time we saw them play this. And that was against Amiga. If they generally won out in the trades middle, because I can remember quite a few times where Alex peeks connector, maybe trades 1-for-1 or just dies early on. And look at this, flashes galore. Allows Dennis to get a very quick push up towards short. Again, Steel this time, not Mopaz, gonna be left alone at the B site. Oh! Alex almost catching Spitty. 20 HP, and still he's gonna go in for the push. Which is really risky. Yeah, well, risky out of him considering he's the only one to defend the B site.
Yeah, it wasn't as surprising the second time around. Good to see that Steel's made that adaptation, and yeah, we're going to have an opening pick actually go in their direction this time. Oh, the timing for Alex could be awful. He's still looking around the edge of the smoke, both players hoping to find that jewel. And Alex actually just going to back away before the smoke fades. Doesn't want to turn things back into a 4v4 situation. Doesn't want to hand potential round over to Sprout. It does seem like they might be about to go for that split towards B still. They've been able to get short control fairly easily in this round. I mentioned that the battle for mid wasn't too successful, and they've fallen back into the site. Slacks with an important entry, though. They might not expect two players to be here, but Smooya with a missed shot. It's actually Shox doing the damage with a Deeg instead, and he's not going to connect anything. Frustration for Smooya and the whole of Movistar, because he was given 3 opportunities to find a kill and comes away with nothing.
To be fair to him, though, it's not very often that happens, as Alex looking to pick up the slack, completely blinded up. And with him falling, it's up to Mopaz 1 against 2. Luckily, the burning's coming on to Slack, so it repositions him, but the player inside of apartments making it very difficult for him to even go for any sort of defuse, and the jump comes in, trying to bait the shot out of Slacks. He's going to fall, and Sprout will get the guaranteed first half lead here at the end of our third map. Movistar just hoping for something, and the buy's not there. This is going to be so hard. Sprout, 9 rounds T side of Mirage. That could be exactly what they need to close out this whole tournament.
Slacks is having a very good game as well. Like, the T-side AWPing on any map is definitely not easy, but he's been given battles and has won the majority of them. I think his team as well have done well to sort of set him up, and it definitely helps that both Dennis and Spiddy are positive by 2 and 3 in opening duels, giving them that early start, which, as said, when it came to maps previously, like Train, maybe like Nuke even, that was what they were looking for. Get those openers, and then once they fall into that sort of trading structure that they have, this team's very difficult to beat. They're going to clear out any of the close positions, but again, just like the last few rounds, there's been gamble stacks. Movistar Riders have been taking risks. As the push came into B last round, there was 3 players waiting. This time, there's going to be 4 waiting on A.
Well, Mopaz is on the flank. He can pick up the pace and up to catch him off guard as the execute comes straight through, and Smooya, not even seeing a player, is getting spammed through the box. Shots. Able to get a second? I don't even know he hits that shot onto Spiddy, but might have just given it a chance here for Movistar. Alex needs to back away to stay alive. Mopaz is finally here to join the party, but finally as he gets there, Slack decides to turn around. He reads the timing, and Alex left alone against 3. At least 2 of them are one-shottable. And the flashes from the enemy team are actually helping him out to get in a good position as he gets the first. But the last 2 to find! Down to the 1-on-1 up against Dennis. Oh! What a closer out of Alex! The 1v3 clutch and the defuse on top. It'll save this half from going further away from Movistar's hopes as they do get themselves a 7th round to end the half.
That was so sick. That was so sick. What a play from Alex. A couple of good plays in that round. Like, between him and Shox, I don't understand this. Like, come on. That doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, you're right. The flashbangs actually helped him out. But, wow, there's nothing you can do versus shots like this. Absolutely nothing. That was so clean from Alex to get them into a pretty decent position. 8-7, not bad at all. Both teams probably going to be fairly happy with that going into the second half. Now Movistar have to try and do the work over on that T side. And well, I'm sure they'd love to start it off with a pistol round.
My lord, Alex. I talked about him at the top of the series. The impact this man can have. What a great clutch. Hopefully rejuvenating the side of Movistar Riders. They rush straight in towards this B site. Dennis is going to be here to defend. And Mopaz taking the angle up close, but Dennis already gooshed down to 8 HP. He's going to have to back off, and with Smooya getting that kill, bomb should be going down, and I don't know how Dennis gets out of this ladder room. Well, he doesn't. That's the answer.
When are we going to get the old school raid boss back? Like, we get the, like, drop a P250 and you keep your arm. I want that like, the original raid boss, where you drop over a Tech 9, and then that player runs through and gets insta one-tapped, and then you have to play with a disadvantage for the entire round.
I mean, that's why we don't see it anymore.
It did work quite often, to be fair. I still have nightmares of just cobblestone Olaf Meister just running all the way down long and just like wrecking everybody in a buy around with that Tech 9. It was pretty ridiculous for a very, very long time. But I do feel like it's coming into fashion a little bit more. Like, I've seen some pretty decent plays with the Tech 9 as of recent. Odds still actually in the favor of Sprout, even after the pistol goes down in their favor. Or in their opponent's favor, I should say. Maybe if you disagree with that, you could go place your money where your mouth is and click the banner down below for a bonus. But here we go. We'll see if Sprout can finally win themselves a force buy round, because that's not something we've really seen too often from them throughout the matches in this tournament. They've mainly been the team having to make the comeback after the pistols don't quite go their way. And in this round, well, they've got a couple of SMGs. Maybe that's the key. They've got some extra weaponry as well.
I mean, there is a Deagle almost by itself. They got Dennis pushing up behind them. And time is starting to run out for Movistar Riders, but they obviously have the weapon advantage. And players rotating back towards B because of the information that Dennis has been able to give them. So Movistar, if they hit this B site, they're running into a trap. Comes down to Sprout hitting their shots, though, as looking for the pressure on towards short, and unfortunately Slacks can't hit it. But will Movistar expect this many players to be here? Can Dennis rotate in quick enough? The question's going to be answered here momentarily as Cressy just trying to stay alive to buy the time. And there's Dennis to strike with 2. Leave it down to a 1-on-3. Alex, he did it before to win the 7th round for Movistar Riders in the first half. Can you do it again with the Mac 10?
I feel like in most cases, lightning doesn't strike twice, so Alex would have to do something truly phenomenal, getting a little bit closer, but the weaponry on the other side really isn't anything to harp on. And this time, Spitty shuts him down before any notion of a clutch can be had. It will be Sprout to win themselves a force buy. They are really breaking all of the sort of traits they've built up throughout this tournament. They've won multiple pistol rounds, they've converted the majority, and now they even win themselves a second round force buy. The question now is, can Movistar Riders do the same in response, as they've got some Deagles of their own?
Well, as long as Alex has one, I think it's definitely possible.
Or Shocks. You know, Shocks got a mean Deagle.
That's fair. I like to call it a Meagle.
Doesn't sound very good.
No, not at all. I regret it the instant I said it.
If it was a super mean Deagle, you could call it Schmeagle.
Where did the sh come from?
Well, it's Smeagol.
Ah, okay, that's better. All right, a little bit of information gained. Yeah, a little bit of information given for Alex, but the nade land directly on his head, and he's gonna fall. And well, the force about a Movistar not gonna work out too well. And Sprout's gonna continue at 10-8. I feel like I can be safe to say that. Those we do have the flank coming out of Mopaz, and no one's actually. Well, no one was hard watching the angle until Slacks comes back. Oh, the bomb down. Oh, Smooya. Gonna get one, but that should really be all he's gonna get. They're all just waiting for him to peek around the corner. And that'll do it. Sprout up 10-8.
Yeah, not going to be much for Movistar Riders to even be able to do. So that's going to be a crushing blow. Like, they were on a decent resurgence, especially managing to steal away that last round. But winning the pistol, that was meant to be the start of this half, the boost that would get them further forward. Instead, they basically handed, well, not only the finances, but also a couple of AKs over to Sprout. And now they have to take an eco as well. So a real chance for some money making for the German side. Okay, Shocks just comes bouncing in. Oh, that's the fastest I've ever seen anybody make the jump off the bench. Or maybe that was off a teammate's head. Might have made it a bit easier. Going for a Goomba stomp or two. At least get one kill. It's not really anything to write home about, and the weaponry's definitely going to be retrieved. So for Sprout, they're not going to mind too much. And for Slacks, it's like, oh yeah, you can have the drop because now I get my trusty AWP.
He's already at 19 kills. Dennis at 17. Cressy, one of the players we talked about as being a very strong factor in success. The success of Sprout is only on 5. Then again, hasn't really needed to get too many kills when they're up 11-8. On the opposing side, though, pretty close across the board for Movistar. They just don't have that individual player stand out. Smooya having a little bit of a rough time so far in this game as we saw the 3 missed op shots going into the first half. And again, look at the heavy lead out of Sprout. Like 2 players hard on B. Even Dennis was potentially rotating back. It seems to be they have a decent read onto what Movistar are doing because they put 4 players back towards the A site. I believe that's going to be Slacks pushed up instead of Apartments over towards B with AWP. Now as Movistar set for the mid push, Dennis is just lurking on the other side of the smoke.
Even still, Mopos is going to manage to win that battle, but I don't know if they'll expect Cressy to actually be here. The first is for free and actually comes up with a double. Sure, Shox has found a kill elsewhere, but it's come back to an uneven scenario. I think they've realized there might be a stack in this direction, but look at Slacks. He's left his early spot. Looks to try and peek in. Will they expect Spiddy to actually be here? The amount of players they've already killed on A would suggest that he's likely elsewhere, but they've taken so much time that even the CTs are starting to
he misses.
doubt things. Slacks, yeah, that looked like a free kill from his side, but he's not going to find anything. However, the information he's garnered sets up Spiddy perfectly. The timing really couldn't be much better. He doesn't know where the second player is, though. And Smooya will make this close. A 1v1 scenario, a bomb plant into the favor of Movistar. And Slacks will look to try and round this corner. He saw him in the connector last, and that might be what actually ends Smooya. Not quite expecting him to come from CT just yet, although he has switched his angle. Maybe spotting just a pixel, which might be enough to give things away. Pushing up close, and the no-scope's not going to connect. The Brit will drag them through a round, claim the AWP for his own, and also take his spot at the top of his team.
So unfortunate for Slacks. We talked about that free shot he had in towards connector, but that miss alone maybe costing Sprout the round. And Movistar are going to be more than happy to take advantage of that. Mac 10 for Mopaz, Shox on the Deagle. So still not really a strong buy coming in for the T side, where Sprout have double ops, double Augs, and an M4 investing basically every penny they possibly can into this round. So a crucial round for both these two teams. We could see things all tied at 11 for Movistar. Eventually see Sprout get up to 13. Looks like the flashes and the push coming very quickly in towards the B site, but they have a decent stack here with 3 players. They have the ops to support, and Movistar falling one by one. Smooya's going to respawn. He clutched out the last round, but with 4 players left for him to find, I'm not going to bet too heavily on him here.
It's a rough loss, a change of pace, and absolute slaughter because of it. Maybe spotting the gamble in the connector from last round and expecting to have something of the same, but even still, Slacks is on fire. Pushing into him seems to be a pretty big risk, and Sprout are actually playing off of that. He's up to 21 kills in the server. He's mentioned that AWP battle, and I think we both leaned in favor of Smooya, but credit where credit is due. Slacks has been fantastic today. More Favin, there is that secondary AWP, just waiting patiently for any sort of peak. 12-9, money back in the bin for Movistar Riders. And a chance for Sprout to walk along that yellow brick road straight into a trophy win.
Well, our parry match odds just seen here heavily favoring Sprout now. Make sure you guys click the banner below the stream if you want to head over and get your bets in now, because this game might be wrapping up shortly. Movistar Riders, no money. Just some pistols. I mean, the fast plays haven't worked out. We haven't seen any set executes towards A, to be honest, which is kind of surprising considering I would feel that Movistar on an aim basis, like aim-wise basis against Sprout, could fare relatively well for playing for the afterplants. At least trying to get Alex inside of window. I believe he should be spotted here momentarily. Yeah, Spitty just going to catch the leg of him. And now that entire push is going to be for nothing. Because Cressy now waiting inside of Shadows and to get himself 2 quick kills. If Mopaz can maybe get some more, they could look to get the bomb down.
Oh.
A little awkward there.
I think they might. So that's something. I'd take that as a win if you're on the Movistar side. The question is, can they now do anything with it? Smooya's managed to retrieve a rifle, and Alex has gained a bit of space. He's got to be careful, though, because there's still Dennis lurking around mid. I imagine he's going to try and keep things nice and quiet, and the fact that the bomb is definitely not planted in an ideal position, Smooya will at least be able to get one, but the second the shot's taken, quite easy for Dennis to come in. Not a bad round in isolation for Movistar Riders, but of course, at this current stage of the game, 13-9, probably would have hoped for a little bit more.
Well, the problem is the double ops out of Sprout has been carried over for a couple of rounds now. You've got Slacks, as you pointed out, 22 kills, leading the server. He's on one of them. Favin, the clutch potential of this man, going to be on the second. And Movistar, they tried picking up the pace, but they ran into a 3-man stack at B. Maybe we're going to see that set execute finally come in towards the A site to dismantle the sight lines of these ops. But then post-plant defending might be a little bit difficult. And with, I think that's Dennis actually pushed through underground. They know it's coming to the A site. And Cressy's just trying to reposition before the T's do arrive. Look at that little boost up for a Molotov, though. Interesting. Throws it directly on top of sight towards triple. And oh, I don't know what Mopaz was doing, but luckily for him, Shox is going to be there to pick up the slack.
Slack's hoping to try and find something through the smoke, and well, this needs to be a kill, but instead Dennis is spotted by Smooya. Now this falls into a save. There's no way they come back from that. They were gambling quite heavily that it would be Dennis to bring them back into the round, but instead it's Shox who does more than enough to close this one out. 13-10, a return to the scoreboard for Movistar Riders after a little bit of a hiatus from it. And for the CT side, they should just about have enough money to buy, mainly off the back of Slacks. At this point, him going down would be almost turmoil, because I think he has to drop a couple of guns here for them to really get anything going.
But still clean round for Movistar, so they technically could lose this round and still buy up into the next very easily. But I like the adaptation from Movistar. They see the double ops in the round before when they rush B. This time, they go for the execute towards A, though. Mopaz, a little bit awkward with his jump out, but again, Shock's there to help pick up the slack and get those 2 kills to allow them to full take the site. And to be honest, I expected Sprout to almost just play full retake. With having Dennis on the flank, I was surprised to see them contest so much early on in the site. And Slacks, who we've talked about as having a stellar performance here, especially on this final map, is looking for a peek in towards middle, but Movistar aren't going to give him the chance. And it's looking like potentially another set execute towards A. It worked once. Can it work again?
That is going to be more of the same, but look at the rotation. All 5 members of Sprout are here. This is a straight up 5v5 duel for the A site. Now the plant is going to come down before Sprout can really do much about it. They don't have much utility to really clear anything. However, Slacks, a close range battle with the AWP, will take down Steel. The rest of the team in far more passive positions. But as said, there's no Molotovs to try and force them out of angles. It's just going to have to be the smokes to try and block them off. Mopaz in this corner needs to at least find something, but Cressy jumps up. And now the remaining players can just look to try and get onto the bomb. This is all she wrote, unless they can find something through this smoke, and it just isn't going to be happening. Fantastic retake from Sprout. They were limited when they made their move into the site, but still managed to make it look easy.
They don't lose a single player, Tom. And that's why the round before I was so surprised to see them put up a fight on the site instead of just going for the full retake. They did that clinically, punished Movistar at every possible route they could, and get themselves one step closer. 14-10 as they take a timeout to discuss some things. On the other side, the money, it's not looking great. You got 4K on Shox. You got 3,400 on Spooya. I'd love to see them be able to take this into an overtime. I'd love to see these teams continue to battle it out, because we are getting some crazy plays happening. That Alex 1v3 clutch in the last round of the first half. This is where players become champions. Sprout looking to close this out in the next 2. They've gone back to the double op setup. And they made it work last time, even with the retake.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I think the sort of execute style coming out from Movistar in the last couple of rounds, it is probably the way to go about it. Like, getting in the after plant was good, but you never know. Maybe this works out. Smooya finds the first pick while completely blind, but Flax has found a response. It seems like the initial battles in mid normally have been going the way of Sprout, on both sides of the map, in fact. Dennis still just going to be waiting patiently, probably hearing all the footsteps, any scopes from Smooya, which will give him a lot of information. He will be relaying back over to the team, and Smooya's got to be pretty careful here. But the Molotov used just to make sure that Dennis can't get up to anything cheeky. Speaking of cheeky, Cressy's pushed all the way through and is holding towards the spawn, so they can start gambling in the other direction, unless it is just a straight-up connector play, in which case things might become a little bit more awkward for Sprout.
Well, on that note of the A push, there's no one really to stop Alex. Favin's playing back towards spawn. Luckily for them, it's going to be heading back towards the B site, however. And Dennis, who's retreated away from his forward position towards short, looking for some kills, but he's only able to get the first. At least the bomb has been spotted. And Slacks, well, he's looking to put up some major frags here. Get this round towards their side. Op the op, and Slacks able to take down Alex. Now Smooya trying to push through with the shotgun. Op gets the first, gets the missed shot, though, coming out of Favin. He will at least have the 1-on-2 here. And he manages to get the bomb down in the meantime. But we expect the player to push in from behind him. He spots him out at the perfect time. It's like he's got a sixth sense. Repossession comes in, but time is taken away. So many angles for him to worry about. So many players for him to deal with. He's got to force the 1v1, but Cressy's going to peek out the window at the right time. And Sprout, they're now on championship point.
Yeah, it was a nice attempt, but again, it slacks. Like it seems like in so many crucial moments, this man has stepped up. 26 and 14. Him and Dennis, currently the ones right at the top of the board. And while it's going to be the third tactical timeout, potentially the last one for Movistar Riders, as they are now 1 round away from elimination. They have to fight for that overtime. The second place slot, their name is already halfway written. And Sprout have almost got theirs etched straight onto the trophy for Season 2. They've still got to get it over the line, but it's not going to be an easy take. Straight away, Smooya's already gone in for the AWP. No surprises there, although Mopaz might have a slightly tougher buy for himself, either having to go for maybe a Galil or even an SMG, or just going for an AK, but without the extra head armor, which would be a little bit of a risk. But I guess at this stage, if you're getting headshotted, it doesn't necessarily make that much of a difference. He will drop down to the Galil. But this is it, Jason, and it does look like they're going to go straight back to that execute. As said, I think it was the right call in the rounds they did it previously. It just didn't quite go to plan when it came to the after plants.
Yeah, I believe it was Mopaz who needed that 1 kill at least as he was hiding in sight. And then Cressy just pops over the top and takes him down. The execute going to come through, and it all comes down to this. Can Sprout close it out here in our 26th round, or can Movistar fight them way back and take it to another? A lot of flashes being thrown in early as Mopaz gets spammed down through the smoke. Already man advantage going over to Sprout as Shocks. He's down to 24 HP, but luckily the bomb should be planted. Steal!
Oh no.
Not how you want to go out if you're Movistar, Tom.
No, that could be the way that the match actually ends. Cressy, he's just going to run riot. He might have just ended this game. It's down to Smooya in a 1 versus 3 to try and save them. And it's all gone wrong in the final round. Turns out planting in fire might not be the way to go about it, but who cares? Sprout, they have earned themselves the victory. Again, a slow start in this series, but they come back even stronger in the final 2 maps. And they are going to end up as the champions. They get themselves the boot camp, along with, $17,500.
I could not think of a better place to boot camp than in lovely Malta, especially when the weather's getting warmer, the sun's coming out, and Sprout have to be so happy. The thing is, we look at both their paths to get here. Movistar, 2-0s in the quarter, 2-0 in the semi, get into the finals and get taken to 3 maps. Where Sprout, it seems like best of 3s going the full 3 seems to be exactly what their name's going to be about. Grow it into the series, getting themselves victories on their opponents' wins. Exactly. Making it exciting at the very end and taking home the prize and the title as well. Well done to them. I will say, though, it's been great to actually cover this whole tournament so far, or not so far, to cover this whole tournament in the playoffs. Getting to see so many teams. Yeah, there's actually a secret match after this. Like, for instance, Sinners, seeing the Czech Republic team, led by Oscar, seeing the talent that can come out of this region, seeing Hellraisers as well, with Godspa potentially, we don't know, potentially join the ranks of Forza as well. Seeing my boy Torzi, for Budapest 5, albeit it was a very quick time to seeing him. But it's been great to see it, and Sprout definitely deserving, as they got smashed on the first map of Nuke, and then they smashed Movistar back in the second, to just take it in the third as well. They deserve it.
Yeah, I think as well, with having some players recently sort of come up from alternate attacks and to come into this team and still be able to have the same resilience of those who have been in there for such a long time. I think going into the future, that's going to be a very good trait to have, because I feel like to mentally check out of a game is a trait that is almost easier